Hello, hello, everybody. My name is Samantha with Missing Pacific Northwest Crimes Revisited. How is everybody doing?
Hello, everybody. Nice to see some viewers here with us. My name's Kaylia.
Oh, so we are going to have a relaxing night. We're just going to let you guys ask any questions you guys might have on the Kyron Horman case. We got some really exciting news this morning that Becky Shaheen let us use her music for our new intro video. I was pretty down because I made this video and we were both really super excited to have it on the show. And then we realized that it had a copyright. So hopefully, with her permission, you know, we're going to be able to continue using her music because it was just so powerful for the video. And we were
Yeah.
really excited to be able to use it tonight.
Yes, it was awesome. It was awesome to see that new intro. Thank you for that, Samantha. It's powerful every time I watch it. And yeah, thanks to Becky Shaheen. I know that we're super grateful and appreciative for you allowing us to use your music. And also because she was gracious enough to allow us to use that song. I'll also just link her on the comments here in just a moment, but she has new music coming out in May. So,
I did put her in the descriptions too.
oh,
And thank
perfect.
her.
Good.
Yep, I just decided I think I'll just keep her
Yeah.
in there. Hello, Sally. Hello, Heidi. Hello. Hello, everybody. Oh, wait, Chrissy's here. Chaos Queen. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, Kyron Horman's case has like layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And on top of all of that, Kyron's case has so many rumors. Just to let everybody know, I've been sick for over a week. I'm sucking on a Halls cough drops. I'm sipping my hot broth right now, so excuse my cough. And if you hear my cough drop in my mouth, I apologize. Just been super sick though.
It's
And
going around right now. Hopefully, you start feeling better soon.
I am starting to feel a little bit better, but every time I say that, I go do something and then I come home and can't stop coughing.
Oh, man.
And then just to let everybody know, my daughter is getting married in 2 weekends. We are doing a bachelorette party this next weekend, plus my grandson's birthday. I have my oldest daughter and my son-in-law and their children in town all this week. I may or may not go live this week. It all depends. So for the next couple of weeks, like my schedule is just all about family. This could be the last live. Hopefully it's not. My granddaughter's pretty good. She's going to be here with me for like 4 days this week, but she'll have her papa, so maybe I'll be able to do a live. I just want to let everybody know we're super, super, super busy. I know, I'm so excited. My daughter's been with her fiance since they were kids. Like literally, I think he was like 13 or 14 when they got together, and she's a couple of years older than him. She is super excited. I went over to her house today. She tried on her wedding dress in front of me. She has
Aw.
her Nana's hair clip from
Aw.
her dad's side. And the last time I saw that clip, my mother-in-law was actually wearing it. So we're in there, bawling like titty
Oh,
babies. And
oh, that's so
she looked
special.
she looked so beautiful. And then over the weekend I went shopping. I've been trying to find her like the perfect jewelry to gift her for her wedding, and I found 2 carat necklace and earring set and got an amazing price on it because JCPenney was like having a sale.
Awesome.
But they're teardrop shaped, and all of the sequins and rhinestones that are on the front of her dress are also teardropped. So
Oh,
it worked out perfect. And she got like this really super old fashioned used wedding dress, and it like has the old school rhinestones and stuff on it from like, when all of our grandmas used to wear the rhinestone clip-on earrings and stuff. Like this has like beautiful rhinestone, and then they all go down the very back of the dress and down the train too. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Just
Oh, it
super
sounds
super
beautiful.
excited. Yeah, today was a beautiful beautiful day, and yeah.
What an exciting time in all of your guys' lives. I mean, that is so special. Um, and I can't wait to see pictures. I'm
I
just
know,
sitting
I'm
here
excited.
envisioning in my head. Oh, that's going to be so awesome.
She has like the most beautiful venue. It's like between Vancouver and Seattle, in Chehalis area or something, and it's on farmland, and it's in a great big huge barn that they like turned into a venue. There's a big dance floor. We're not having, 2, 3, 400 people. It's only like 50 people, mostly family, really close friends. It's going to be a very intimate wedding. We're really, really super excited. And her dream's always been to have babies and get married. Well, babies came first. So I'll have my little 1-year-old granddaughter and my 3-year-old grandson. We got flower girl and ring bearer, and they're coming down in the wagon. Oh my gosh, I could keep talking about it forever. It's just
Oh
going to
my
be
goodness.
so,
It
so
sounds
beautiful.
like, yes, it sounds like it'll be a beautiful event. And yeah, I can tell you're excited about it. I'll say my husband and I, we kind of have a similar story. We met when we were teenagers, but we didn't get married until 2016. And at that point, our son, our oldest son, was 6 months old, or maybe 9 months old at that point. And I'm so grateful to have him in the pictures. He definitely made that even better, even a more special memory. So her looking back and having her babies be involved in her wedding, I can only imagine. That's just so
I
special.
know. I think it's going to be really special too. Yeah, and she's so excited, and she's ready for the stress to be over too. We all know how that goes. I
Yep.
mean, me and my husband, when we got together, I was pregnant, 9 months pregnant when we got married. We'll be celebrating our 30 years in May, but we're sitting side by side in our chairs one night, and I'm big old pregnant, and I'm like, babe, why don't we just go like get married tomorrow? He said, what? I was like, let's just go do it. So I asked him, and we went down the very next day, forgetting it was my sister's birthday. It was just like so friggin' spur of the moment. And then we had a great big huge wedding at the beach on our 25th wedding anniversary. But Beverly says my daughter wants to be married in a historical graveyard in Sacramento, California. I love graveyards.
Yeah, me
I
too.
think they're so cool. I like going and like cleaning up around them and stuff. And sometimes you can get permission to like scrub on the stones and stuff. Um, I know
Yeah.
some people that are really into the Day of the Dead or whatever it's called, the holiday, and they go do that. They go clean gravestones all day long for that
That's
holiday.
right. That's pretty special. I know a lot of people that do that, and it's not only to honor the people that are resting there, but also for preservation because like you said, historical graveyards, um, we want to keep them intact as long as possible. I mean, those are very special. Some of those, at least in my local city, the graveyard, some of the headstones go back to like the 1850s. And there's you can still see them, but nobody cleans them. And I'm not trained. I'm not confident enough to like take that on. But I would love to see our local cemetery cleaned up.
We have a cemetery over here off of Mill Plain, and I've seen gravestones in there dating all the way back to the early 1800s.
So
Super,
cool.
super cool. It's just fascinating to see. I mean, and then, they have huge, gigantic, huge crosses and huge, giant, like, angels or, um, Mary from like the Catholic Church. She like stands in prayer over some of the one. Oh my, it's just a really, really beautiful graveyard. I love
That
walking
sounds
around in there. I mean, you know what? I haven't done that in so long. I think I'm gonna do that on a nice day. Like, We're supposed to be in the 70s this weekend, yo. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. I am so excited for the sun.
me too. Oh my
Oh
gosh,
my,
me too. I get
it
seasonal
has been,
depression, so
yeah, and it has been friggin' cold. It's like I
yep.
got daffodils and flowers coming up in my gardens, but it's like, where is the sun?
We got spilled paint. She says, "Hey, new sub here. Welcome to the channel, Spilled
Nice
Paint.
to
Thank you
have
very
you.
much for being here." We're here to have a Q&A about Kyron Horman. Samantha and I kind of got, we met each other over Kyron Horman, and we've spent a lot of time researching Kyron's case. We both feel really confident that we could answer a lot of questions that might be on your mind regarding his case. Um, I did the math. Samantha, I don't know if you saw my post, but I think I can confidently say that we've together, between the two of us, have researched Kyron's case over 1,000 hours. And I almost wrote thousands because I'm almost that confident to say we've probably done it multiple thousands, like at least two.
I do more research and nobody even knows about. Sometimes I'm sitting here on
Oh,
my
yeah.
phone researching, I can honestly say from the time my husband falls asleep till about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm researching. And he usually falls asleep anywhere between like 5 and 7 o'clock. So I'm at least getting 4 to 5 hours in. And if I'm not studying Kyron Horman, um, I'm studying Michael Vaughn or another missing child. There's been so many lately. It's really disturbing to see.
Yeah.
And when I put together the video, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys were in here when we played the video, but there are 500,000 predators online a day looking to
I'm sure it's
do.
one of the primary places where predators go to traffic
It's
vulnerable
very,
population, such as the teenagers and younger kids. I mean, I believe I'm in a parenting group that talks about technology and the relationship of parenting in the technology age. And the consensus seems to be that most kids have cell phones at like 10 nowadays. And a 10-year-old really, I mean, yes, I agree that maybe they should have a phone for safety, but also it puts them at risk in so many other ways because of those online predators.
yeah, it's really, really disturbing. And I don't know how many of you guys are really into Chris Madonna like I am. I love watching his shows on the interview room. But here recently, Josh from the lab, Chris Madonna, and Dr. Gary, I cannot remember his last name. You'll have to forgive me. They have been going live together. Chris Madonna did a live on his platform last night instead of at Josh's on the lab. I am telling you, I am completely just fascinated by what these men sit and talk about, from cold cases, the inside of like a child killer's mind or a predator's mind, online predator's mind, kidnapper's mind. It has been, yes, bunko. Thank you, Chuck. Hello. I see you here. I started reading your emails last night. A matter of fact, I tried forwarding them over to Kaylee, but I don't, I'm a dinosaur, but I'm learning, so I'm gonna get that over to her. But how do you say that last name? I like, what is it? Bunko? Yeah, I don't know how to
So
pronounce.
I have no idea. I'm sorry either. I don't know.
He wrote a new book. I just got it on my audio. It's called The New Evil. He literally deep dives in, him and another man deep dive in this book about the minds of these kinds of people that are doing this with our children, with other. It's been really fascinating to listen to a lot lately. So if you guys haven't seen it, go to Chris Madonna or Josh the Lab Station and check their lives out, because man, some serious deep diving, especially for people that like true crime or cases like this. I'm actually been trying to reach out to just find out if they've ever researched Kyron Horman before, because I actually want to know if Chris Madonna has. Josh said that he hasn't. And I also found out that Josh's mom was killed by his father. I found that out on a
Wow.
live last night. I did not know that.
I never knew that
And
about him either. So he has
yeah,
a very unique perspective when he's
yes.
talking about cases.
And the way he works with Chris Madonna too, you would think that he's like highly educated and been to school and for years and years and years up here on platform. I don't know. It's just amazing. It's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Very sad to find that out though. I was in shock. I had no clue, and I've watched Josh now for quite a well since you told me about him. So
hmm Yeah, I never had heard that either until you just told me right now. So that
yeah.
is something I just learned. But yeah, it does kind of
Yeah,
give you a whole nother respect on the level of course my heart and my empathy goes towards him, but also that unique perspective as like a victim too, the ripples of what happens when these kind of crimes happen.
and he talks about the ripples that his sister's gone through her entire life. You
Mm,
guys just have to go check it out. It was on Chris Madonna's channel last night. Josh had Chris Madonna and Dr. Gary on last week. But if you guys scroll through, you can see them all three doing shows together, or even just Josh and Chris Madonna. And many. I cannot wait to go back and watch some more. But let's talk about Kyron. Does anybody have any questions for starters? There are a lot of rumors in Kyron's case. I mean, I think until we start seeing some questions, what we can do, Kaylee, is just kind of go over the questions that were asked the most or the rumors that we hear the most.
okay.
I know one of the biggest ones that we hear is, why isn't Terri in jail?
I was
And I'm
about to say
gonna,
the same thing. That would be my number one too.
you know, after watching Josh with the lab and Chris Madonna, they actually answered this same question when it came to the Summer Wells case. And why isn't anybody in jail? And because we always get like, if Terri was guilty, she would have already been arrested by now. If Terri was guilty, something would have already happened by now. Just the fact that we sit here and talk about Terri and the fact that she's been the focus of law enforcement, the focus of the FBI, the focus from the very beginning because of her strange and unusual behavior the day Kyron came up missing, the lies that she was caught in, the misinformation she gave to law enforcement. Those all immediately put her in the hot seat. And we all know why. Because they look at the family members first. And out of all of the family members, she was the one not jiving. She was the one not making sense. She was the one not wanting to cooperate. And in the state of Oregon, they do not have to call her a suspect or a person of interest until they put the cuffs on. And that's
Right.
what law enforcement is waiting for, is to put the cuffs on. And after hearing Chris Madonna talk about DA's offices and DA's not wanting to push forward without a body in a case, and these no body cases, and how there are a lot more no body cases happening. And we know that because of Harmony Montgomery, that was just done. And her father's going to prison for it. Amen. But
Mm-hmm.
even though it is happening more and more, it hasn't been. By the way, Kaylee, you and I were talking about this the other day on the phone. I was actually looking into nobody cases in Oregon, and there's not many. So I'm just wondering if Oregon is one of those states that doesn't like pushing forward without a body,
Right.
or if it's just the DA, that's not wanting to move forward. And there's been, I think, 3 since Kyron's disappeared.
Yeah. I know, I totally agree with you. obviously Samantha and I can only speculate on why Terri is still walking around free, but our educated opinion is just that, what she said. I also have read the divorce documents between Terri and Kane, and I believe that the DA and Multnomah County, I think they're intimidated by her legal counsel. They put up a really, really hard fight in the divorce and custody battle. And I don't know who started the nickname of Terri's attorney, Stephen House, being the best defense attorney in the state of Oregon. But that's what so many people refer to him as. And this man is he's like 70 something years old. He's almost 80 years old. And he is defending Terri. I think that is a huge reason of it, that they're intimidated by how good this guy is at defending clients, and they only have one shot. And because of those two things, they're waiting until Kyron is found. And I don't know if we would want to talk about this or not, Samantha, but Samantha has researched a lot about the searches related to Kyron's case as well. And from what she's researched and found, they are still looking for Kyron. So
just up till March of last year, we are sitting in March right now. And this time, like probably a couple of weeks ago, this time last year, they were searching east of Skyline School.
Yep. So they're still looking for him, or they're still looking for I hate to call it this, but we all refer to it as the smoking pew-pew, right? In criminal cases, they're looking for that one piece of evidence that proves without a shadow of a doubt that Terri did this to Kyron. Because they get one chance.
Yeah, and every year that goes by, forensics is getting better and better and better. They have had phones, computers, cell phone towers, cell phone pings, all the stuff that they've been working on, because they know Terri lied about where she was and what she was doing that day. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion. I actually think they're going to be moving forward, since the nobody cases are becoming more and more popular. I guess maybe it's just, it could be just, I want it so bad. Maybe that's why I believe it, but I just feel like it's coming. That's how I feel.
Me too.
Is that it is coming, that they are closer, just by recent things like Terri Horman talking online again. What caused that? I think something shifted and she decided to start talking. And, that's changed a lot, because she's talking about things she's never talked about before. Chuck here has a question. Has she ever been to prison before? She's never been in prison, but she's been arrested. She's been arrested for a DUI. She's been arrested for domestic violence, stealing a car, stealing a GUN. Do you know of anything else she's been in jail for?
Those are the only ones that I can think of that she was arrested for. She was found not guilty of some of the charges. She pled guilty to child endangerment when she got a DUI because she had her child in the car, and she did plead guilty to that. But otherwise, I don't think she's actually spent time in jail, but she has been arrested. And I'm going to say it, in my opinion, unfortunately, she was found not guilty.
Yeah, and there are murder for hires that she has tried to plot out against several people. Kyron Horman, her ex-boyfriend from the 1990s, Stacy Green, which is a Kyron Horman advocate that's just put a ton of pressure on her. Yeah. So, I mean, she's even got a boyfriend that's still in hiding because he's terrified of Terri, allegedly still hiding. But
Chuck also asks, is there a particular area that law enforcement thinks Kyron could be? We don't know that specific answer, but we can speculate based on where they've shifted their search focuses. So
Yeah, and then I'm not sure if they're like, are they sifting or shifting the search from the west side of the school, because that's where Terri Horman was traveling around that morning on June 4th, after she went to a couple of Fred Meyer stores. Then she goes to a dry cleaners. She leaves the dry cleaners. She says she drove around for about an hour and a half or so. We now know that that time's probably about 2.5 to 3 hours. And then ends up back at the gym, which is in the same area that she was that morning where the two Fred Meyer stores are, which I have always talked about being very suspicious to me, that she starts off in one area and ends up in that same area. Was there a pickup, a drop off, a car exchange? Was a person picked up or dropped off? Was there a third person involved? Something like that, maybe in that area. And then she goes home. Kane comes home. They go down to the bus. Kyron doesn't get off of the bus, of course. And then that's when, the nightmare begins. And yeah, the area that she was driving around in during that time, she says, was all west. It was like Logie Road, West Skyline, Rocky Point Road, and everything. And what's also really strange is there are also witnesses in that area that saw a woman that looked like Terri driving the white truck that she was driving that day, which was Kane Horman's truck, Kyron Horman's father. But now, since 2017, maybe shortly before 2017, there was more searches done on Savia Island, like way before, earlier, right after he came up missing. They searched Savia Island for months and months and months. And then Desiree searched Savia Island again. But it shifted there, and it also shifted to the east of Skyline Elementary School, which is where I think is just really telling, because Dee Dee Spicer, Terri Horman's friend, who was also missing during the same unaccounted time period that Terri Horman was missing for, was also missing. And where she was working that day at Westwind Farms is east of the school, where there now seems to be their searches. So are they looking for these burner phones that could have been tossed out the window, like Bruce McCain talked about? Are they looking for physical evidence like Bruce McCain talked about? Or are they searching these areas for Kyron himself? Which, if you think about it, it's actually really devastating, because they're looking for Kyron in the woods. And that's really disturbing, because that right there tells us 13 years later, they're not looking for an alive Kyron when they're out searching in these wooded areas. And although law enforcement, even though they get tips still coming in all the time, they especially around his birthday or around June 4th, they get a lot of tips, according to Detective Tabor. And they follow up on all of the good, plausible tips. He even told me that if a psychic or 2 or 3 psychics call in with all the same story, they would go check it out. He goes, we've never had 2 or 3 psychics with the same exact story, but if we did, we'd go check it out. We're willing to do anything it takes to find Kyron.
Yeah. And I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that. Some people have mentioned Savi's Island in the comment section, and that's totally common belief here. I know that I have personally believed that Savi's Island was in some way, shape, or form involved. And Sally Mae, you say there are small fishing ponds on Savi Island, and that's true. And in the book that Desiree contributed to, Boy Missing, The Search for Kyron Horman by Rebecca Morris, they talk about some of those searches, and they describe diving or searching by
sonar,
not sonar, fingers, touch, searching by touch, because the visibility in those ponds were so poor. They said that at some point there was a boat that was on one of those ponds or lakes on Savi's Island. They were fishing, and that sonar did detect a larger item. So they sent a dive team down, and that's when they described it as searching by touch, because they could not see anything. They were just feeling with their hands. And I just, like you said, Samantha, what's their headspace? They're hoping they find Kyron alive. They are not necessarily hoping he's in the water, but obviously they're there for a reason. So I just can only imagine all of that. It's those ripples we talk about. You don't think about the searchers, but how heavy was that on their heart, and how heavy has it been on their heart for these 13 and a half years,
Yeah, and the thing is both parents were grasping and holding on in the very beginning, and they were just saying, "We know Terri did it, but we know she did something with him, and she handed him off to somebody so they could just take care of him or something like that." And that's what they held on for a little while, and then eventually Desiree, she majority of the time doesn't believe that Kyron's with us anymore. Kane still holds out hope that, Kyron is still out there. And we're not saying Kyron's not out there, but the likelihood of it, I, in my personal opinion, do not. And I've never said this on a live, you guys. I personally don't believe that Kyron is alive. I believe that Terri Horman had something to do with his death. That is just my honest opinion.
I have that same opinion, and it hurts my heart to say that, but yes, that's how I feel as well. And I know that there are people that hurt other people, that unalive other people. I'm trying to censor myself here for YouTube. Those people sometimes make dang sure that no one ever will find the evidence that they did something. And I definitely believe Terri was capable of that. And that's what I believe happened too. And I would just like to point out that, yes, I'm not going to speak for Kane, but I will say that I have not seen him say anything. I watched him on Real Life Nightmare, which was filmed, I believe, in 2020 and released in 2021. And he doesn't say that in that interview. He doesn't say what he has always said, that he believes Kyron is alive. And it's more than a belief. He doesn't even say anything about that. He just talks about what happened and that Terri wasn't clearing herself and it was frustrating. And so I'm not.
Terri has something to do with it still, though.
Exactly.
And he's canceled the last couple of car shows to raise money for searching for Kyron, which we've also noticed just last year in March, when they were searching for Kyron last, was about the same time that he announced that, and he also announced it again for this year. Kyron missing person posters. We would be glad to send them to you. Come over to Kyron Horman Case Revisited on our Facebook. Send me or Kaylee a message. I'll get it to Kaylee, or if you message her directly a messenger, she would be glad to sing you free of charge. And if you're in Clear Lake where Terry's at, that's amazing. We need people there.
We have another comment from, it looks like Lily. I'm going to guess that's what it is. Lily, do you think Kyron could have been taken further away from the media area? Because if Dee Dee was missing for 4 hours or so, she could have taken him an hour or so away. She would have had time. I have speculated that. If she was gone for 4 hours approximately, she could have. I don't know. I really have no idea. I have no opinion one way or the other than the search area still has been in the general vicinity of where they were. They haven't, as far as we know, branched out further. But is it plausible? I've definitely gone down that theory road before myself and wondered, because they would have had time.
The reason why this search is staying within the area, from what I understand and what from Desiree Young has said, Kyron's mom, is that this area, according to cell phone tower, cell phone pings, and credit cards and credit card use, is the reason why they have continued to focus in the area and haven't branched out too much further than the vicinity in which either Terri or Dee Dee traveled that day. And Desiree has also mentioned that they both had burner phones on June 4th, the day that Kyron came up missing. So I have always actually wondered if they were ever able to get their hands on one of the phones from June 4th. Because if they did, maybe the location could have possibly been in those. Because Desiree is very confident when she says cell phone tower, cell phones, cell phone pings, and credit cards, keep them within that area.
Right.
So
Thank you for bringing that up. That's very true.
yeah, and I personally don't believe he was driven too far out. I don't think would have had enough time to do what they needed to do. She was traveling, according to cell phone tower and pings, she was traveling all over west of Skyline and was seen in that area, and also seen on Newberry Road. Terri Horman was seen in the area. And Dee Dee and Terry were both seen on Old Germantown Road on June 4th, 2010, passing things from one truck to another, according to witnesses. So I think with witnesses that have came forward and Desiree, what she talks about with the information that she's had, I really believe that the focus is going to stay in the area. I don't believe he has left that area.
Yeah. In fact, now that you say it, I have interviews that just popped in my head from both parents separately saying there's only so many places she could have gone in the amount of time she had, and we are just checking them off one by one.
Yep.
It's a process of elimination.
Let's see. We have somebody here that says after 41 years, she had a friend's case who from the 1980s that was solved with DNA. See, and that's, it's really just going to come down
a matter of time.
Yeah, evidence is going to show its face. They have it. Technology is going to change it. We see cases all the time. I mean, if you're a true crimer, you see cases that are solved all the time. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows it, but Kelly has new shows out right now of the her Cold Case Files show. New season just came out. There's already like 3 episodes.
I've not seen that one.
You haven't seen Kelly? What is it? What is her last name? I can't ever remember last names. A good with
Is it on
name.
cable? I kind of stick to YouTube. I'm sorry. I don't have cable. My kids dictate what I watch on TV.
Right? Oh, I get that. Interesting that there's quite a bit of missing time in Summer Wells' case.
Yes. There are some interesting similarities between the two cases.
I wonder about using ground penetrating radars. I don't know that they ever use those. I want to say they may have used drones looking for Kyron. If they did, it was brand new drones though, because we're talking 2010.
Yeah. So that's a little different. Yeah, I think that would have been really awesome to have at that time, but I don't know if the technology was there yet to have very great drones on searching. I do see a question here that I feel like we get asked enough that we should talk about. Have the parents ever reached out to the Cold Case Foundation, or why isn't this a cold case? Those are 2 great questions, and I do see those comments / questions come up all the time. I can only speculate personally about why the parents have not worked with the Cold Case Foundation or other foundations like that. My personal opinion on that point is that Kane and Desiree have different ways of advocating and doing this for their son. And I don't know if they both agree to that. And I only say that because we know that throughout the years, Desiree has said to, this has been brought up several times. Kane never wanted to have private searchers on his property or private searchers in general because he preferred to work with the law enforcement and doing fully like that route where it's all done with the law enforcement, no private. And Desiree was like, well, if we can't go out there all the time, I'm going to go private and see what we can do. And that's the only reason I can think of why they haven't, because they are both working Kyron's advocacy different ways, and they're both kind of doing it different ways. And that's why that hasn't come up, because they might not agree on it. I don't know.
I also believe that they have 100% faith in Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, and I also think that they are afraid that if they turn it into a cold case, how many people are going to have access to all of this information to start working on it, whether it be private investigators or, once it's a cold case, anybody can get that information. And how would you feel? That's my question. How would you feel? Your son's been gone 13 years. You totally believe in and have faith in the police department that is investigating your son's disappearance, and the FBI and the retired FBI agent that's working on the case. Would you want to hand it over to a bunch of other people to look at? Or would you just want everything to stay where it is and keep getting investigated, knowing they're doing their 100% best to solve this, because they're dedicated? They've been doing this for 13 years. Me personally, I don't think I would want to turn it into a cold case. It would probably have to hit 20 years before I would even think about it, if I was truly invested in law enforcement.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
I think a 20-year is a good solid point. I don't know if like the Cold Case Foundation actually needs the files to be declared a cold case or not. I know Multnomah County would never necessarily turn them over, but I'm thinking like Chris Madonna going to talk to Tyler Vaughn, and Michael's case wasn't a cold case necessarily, but right. I see what you mean. And also Desiree is married to law enforcement, so she also has a different, just kind of like we just were saying, Josh has a different perspective. Well, so does Desiree and her husband, Tony. They have an inside perspective on both sides. Tony's law enforcement, Desiree's the mother of a missing child. So together, I definitely see where you're coming from. And I would agree. If I was in their shoes, I would probably want to wait to 20 years too, before I officially was like, you know what? We've given it our best for 20 years, and now it is time to see what else we can do to get her out.
Yeah, because there's still proof that they're working on it. There's still searches going on. There are, they have like, what am I trying to say? Their forensics is still, they're always constantly working with forensics. And, they now have a new detective that's been there now a couple of years. They got a retired FBI agent, probably a couple of other people in there looking at it. The new sheriff is married to the original investigator on Kyron's case when she took over in January. So I mean, like, keeping this close to the vest and just, these people know Kyron's case. I don't know. I just don't know if I would want to consider my child's case cold when I know they're still working. Now, if there was at some point I noticed they're not searching for Kyron, they're not coming up with any new information, no new evidence, no new circumstantial evidence, and that was going on for a few years or more, then I would be like, okay, why is there a standstill? What's going on? If you guys can't do something, I'm just going to do something and file this and, turn it into a cold case so that other people are, will look at it because you guys aren't doing your jobs. But that's just not the case in Kyron's.
I believe the new sheriff to Multnomah County has, when she and Desiree spoke and they had their meeting, I believe that sheriff was really able to earn Desiree's trust, and I really do hope that she's the one that sees this to the end for Desiree, because like we've always said, Desiree has a different pep in her step. And yeah, it just seems like things hopefully are happening and things are moving, especially knowing that 1 year ago this month they were searching, and who knows if they've done more. That search was barely squeaked out to the
I
public,
barely saw that.
and they
And
weren't, and I don't
plus,
think it was supposed to be. It was like kind of like word vomit. It just came out of the
yep,
mouth, and thankfully Samantha caught it and verified it, and we were like, holy crap. So
yeah.
there could have been more since then.
I've been asked, where did you find that? Where did you find that information? Because the article had nothing to do with Kyron's search. Desiree Young went in to go meet with the new sheriff, and it was inside that news article, barely even mentioned. And there was a search, and that was it. It was just like one little bitty tiny sentence at the very bottom of the article. And that's why I like reading articles. I can sit there and read and look and research for forever. And especially getting into like old news broadcasts. If you can find old news, Kyron, oh yeah, you can find all kinds of information.
Yeah. I love watching the old news ones. We have found some great ones that we haven't even shared. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in the archives, and that's what I mean when I say Samantha and I together. I feel pretty confident to say. I mean, I only said 1,000, over 1,000, but I'm pretty confident to say that together we've probably researched over 2,000 hours, and Samantha's over here telling me it could be more because she does so much. 1,000 hours is 42 days. So that's why I said, okay, that's a lot of days, but we've been doing this day in and day out for a long time. So
It still shocks me that we still find new information sometimes.
yep.
I'm just like, what? What? Because
Mhm.
it's so old. And I think that's where it gets frustrating for us. Because we want to do lives on Kyron all the time. Like we just want to do lives on Kyron all the time. And we can't because we've gone over all of the information more than once in our lives already. And that's why I was just like, hey, let's do like a Q&A. Let's let people ask us some questions so that we can answer them in case other people are confused, because I know I was confused for a long time. I didn't know what was true and what wasn't in the very beginning. And it's taking me a lot of research and a lot of time to, figure that out.
Oh yeah, it did take a while, and that's it. I took it personal. That's part of the reason why I'm a fact checker. And when things weren't adding up, and I almost was believing these lies in Kyron's case, it made me swing so hard in the opposite direction that I said, I'm never going to, or I can't say never, but I'm going to try my hardest to prevent this from happening to another person that might not have the skills to fact check everything the way I do.
Right.
And together, Samantha and I have debunked so many lies that have been put out, or maybe not directly put out by Terri, but not stopped by Terri because they were benefiting her and making her look better and take the heat off her. And one that comes to mind is the stinking steroid ring, that people want to say that Terri busted this federal steroid ring with FBI agents, and she got these agents fired, and that's why they started blaming her. So they all conspired against her to make her look guilty for Kyron's disappearance because they were mad at her for busting the steroid ring. And without boring you to death, that is nothing but a lie. And Terri does nothing but like comments about it and never corrects anybody or anything.
Yep.
But since we've
Total
debunked it,
deflection.
you haven't seen anybody really talking about it. Really, the Terri supporters have kind of stopped talking about that because they know it's a lie. I mean, not saying that they don't know they always spread known lies, but when you can prove without a shadow of a doubt, they kind of back away from it. And that's one of them is this steroid ring lie.
I would love to see them reach out to the Cold Case Foundation, actually. It's one of the reasons why I want to get in contact with Chris Madonna, just to see if he knows anything about Kyron's case. Chuck, because I
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
totally interested in finding out if he knows anything or talk to the family or just anything. Um, I wonder if they could get burner pings dump or if it's just been too long ago. I think they got all the pings that they needed when it originally happened. I
Yeah.
actually found the cell phone tower. It's like 2 miles on Highway 30 west of Savi Island. Not on Savi Island, but right on Highway 30. And they were able to get all the information that they needed. And the thing is these cell phone towers and cell phone tower pings and the way that they worked in 2010 is a lot different than now. And that's what I mean. The better technology gets, the better they're able to configure what they found in 2010. I we see things change in forensic like daily, hourly. Things change every day, all the time in forensics. And because of the things that they have, I really believe something in the forensic field is going to be what busts this, that, or straight up somebody talks or a witness come forward, with something.
I was just
Yeah.
looking through the book. I can't find anything right now. But oh, did I get kicked off? There we go. I'm fairly certain. I'm going to say this with 95% confidence because I can't find it in the book right now. That they said that they took every call that every phone that connected to the phone that served Skyline School, every phone data was combed through. So they
Yeah.
had huge amounts of evidence, or not evidence, I guess, but data to comb through to find out if there was any significance to any of these phones. And they looked through every single one that connected to that or to that phone tower. I'm 95% certain I've read that in the book about Kyron's case, or at least an article.
Yeah, and I want to address this question right here. Date and location of the truck sightings, please. Okay, I will give them to you. June 4th, 2010, 3 p.m. in the afternoon and early morning on June 5th, 2010. White truck pulled down to the end of 8th Avenue. That was not Fred Hall. That was, what was it? Jim.
Kelly.
Yes, thank you. Jim Kelly sighting of a truck down now 8th Avenue is not even a minute drive away from Terri Horman's house. A truck came down 8th Avenue, sat in front of Jim Kelly's house. The neighbor also seen this truck. They told law enforcement about this truck. The area was searched on the 5th and the 6th, and I believe one other time because of this. Yeah, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, the truck pulls up at the end of the road, sits there, idles. Redheaded woman, or a woman, doesn't say redheaded, sorry, sitting in the truck. Now, what's unusual, I have to kind of make this fast because this is a very strange and unusual sighting. What makes it very strange and unusual is 8th Avenue dead ends. Once you get down there, you can only pull into the driveway back up to turn around and get back out of this dead end area. Jim Kelly and his neighbor said that it only happens a few times a year that anybody would travel down this road. And there are places to turn around long before you get to the dead end. It's a gravel road, not a paved road, with lots of potholes and brush so hard, like brush overgrowing onto the actual road itself if it hasn't been trimmed. If that gives you any kind of idea. And this truck wasn't seen once, but twice within a 24-hour period of time. And that's what makes it even more unusual because, like I said, it's not very often that anybody would come down there, but the same truck gets seen twice in a 24-hour period of time and the area was searched. Another location was Newberry Road. It's east about a mile and a half from Skyline School. Once you get to Newberry Road, you take a left and you travel down, and there is an old trail into Forest Park there where Terri Horman was seen. And when she got asked about being seen in this location, she told law enforcement she believed she might have been changing the baby's diaper. So she pretty much confirms it for herself that she was on Newberry Road that day. Now, if you go more to the west, Fred Hall owns a farm way up off of Moreland Road and West Skyline Boulevard. And it's up at the Rocky Point Mountain area or Dixie Mountain area. Now, Fred Hall saw a truck parked in front of one of the fire lane, or what we call like the old logger roads. They have the blue gates. A woman was sitting in a white truck sitting there. And people in the area really pay attention, way up there, because especially back in the day, it's just a bunch of farmland and stuff. And when you get way up to Moreland Road, like, you're pretty far up there. And when you see somebody just sitting around, you kind of want to know what the hell they're doing up there, because it's
Do
just,
they need help? Are
yeah.
Are they trying to go down the logging road?
Are they going to vandalize something?
Yeah.
And what's also very strange about this sighting is where Fred Hall's location is there on Skyline and Moreland. If you travel a little bit further down, you have Rocky Point Road. Terri was allegedly seen by another witness coming down off of Rocky Point Road, pulling onto Highway 30, where she admits to being on Highway 30. And this witness was on his way to work and saw her pulling out and getting ready to take a right-hand turn to start heading east on Highway 30 from Rocky Point. And these were all on June 4th. So if that answers your questions, those are the witnesses that witnessed seeing Terri that day. And they're all like random times and all kind of fit right in her time zone of when she was missing that day. And Terri herself admits to being on Highway 30. She admits traveling on it. She admits pulling over to the side of the road to get the baby to sleep. Yeah. And Highway 30, that's a long stretch. You can travel Highway 30 and then it takes you to another little freeway that'll take you down to the beach if you stay on it. So let's see. Hope that answers your question about the witnesses and the truck. We actually have a live that is the woman in the white truck, or the white truck and the woman, that covers all of the witnesses that came forward and saw allegedly Terri in a truck, Kyron Horman's truck on June 4th. What show are you guys talking about? I love that show. What channel? Was that they're talking about Kelly?
Yep, I think that's
what is her name? Yeah, she just came out. I had to look her up the other day too, because somebody asked me about her. I know it's Kelly something. Kelly. Segler. Kelly Segler. She is my ultimate favorite cold case detective. She is amazing. Her and her team. She's got the cold case files. Yeah, and their new season just started. I've watched them all. Very, very, very smart woman. She knows what she's doing. So many people ask me, have you guys ever contacted Kelly Segler? And it's like, well, we can't do that until, his case is said to be a cold case.
Right.
Kristen and Mike King were able to get over 300 people, ATV, drones, horses, divers. One of the guys was a soldiers from Benghazi. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we agree with you all, I don't necessarily agree to making it a cold case, but if they could use the cold case or like those foundations or those teams that help or a
Just
private
the inside.
investigator, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And we don't need to know all the details, but if it meant helping them, oh, heck yeah. I think that's a great idea without giving all the evidence against Terry away. I agree. I think that it's so important because like I told you, like I think that's they're not necessarily there that's the only reason, but Stephen House being a great defense attorney, they do not want him to have any of their very, very good evidence against Terry. And
Mhm.
Desiree has given information out, and has released a little bit more of the evidence as time has gone on because she's a little bit more comfortable giving out certain pieces of evidence against Terry or certain circumstantial evidence against her. But I believe with all my heart that Desiree and Kane still have the worst against her that they'll never say until it goes to trial.
Yeah, I mean, with just she has flat out said there's a more. She at the end of one of her Facebook says, and that's just what I can tell you, because she's telling us some information about the cell phone tower pings, evidence, credit cards, and all of this other stuff. And she goes, and that's just what we know now. That's not including what we know. Like they know things. They just cannot talk about it. And you know, they are privy to a lot more information than us, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this question is, do you think it's possible they could get Dee Dee to flip and testify against Terry? Maybe they could get Dee Dee on something and use her as a witness against Terry, even though Dee Dee is just as guilty. Well, there's been talk, not publicly mentioned, I would say. Allegedly, Dee Dee has immunity. Allegedly, it is full immunity for something that she said, and told law enforcement or told the grand jury. We're not sure which. There's a lot of confusion about the full immunity and what she got and what was said. I personally, in my opinion, think Dee Dee is far more evil than Terri Horman ever will be. I've had that feeling since day one. The moment I heard about Dee Dee Spicer was the moment I instantly said, "You will find Kyron when she talks. You you keep up on her and you'll find out your information." I don't know why I've always had that feeling. It's just in my gut. She looks pure evil to me. Um, I watched a lot of forensics, well, not of forensics, a lot of profiling shows, okay? And facial profiling, attitude profiling, you name it. I love watching profiling shows. She, to me, the profile that I get from her speaks pure evil. Still
Yeah.
my personal opinion, but Kaylee, once me and her started talking about Dee Dee, and I, talked more and more about her and told her what I knew about Dee Dee, she kind of sees where I'm coming from with the Dee Dee being evil thing.
Oh yeah. I was going to wait for you to get to say that, and my answer to that is no. I don't believe Dee Dee will ever testify against Terry or
Mm-mm.
vice versa.
Or
I
against
don't
yourself.
believe either of them will ever do the right thing and ever come clean. The only way I can see that ever happening is if Dee Dee doesn't have the immunity that is rumored that she has, and that they find Kyron and they say, "You're going
Yep.
down for life for this." That's
And
the
I
only
guarantee
way.
you, they find Kyron and fingers start pointing at Dee Dee, and Terry's going to be the first one to flip. Dee Dee won't ever flip. I don't think Dee Dee's ever going to say a thing.
No.
Nothing. Her dad comes from law enforcement, and she knows what's going to happen if she ever talks, and she's never going to do it.
I've said this over and over that if we can't get the Dee Dee and Terri to do the right thing by doing what we're doing, this advocacy and raising awareness and straightening out the record and debunking lies. It's not for doing anything for Terri to do the right thing. It's, in my opinion, to keep raising awareness that Kyron is still missing and have the DA do the right thing, because that is where we need to put our pressure, is on the DA and the actual law enforcement. That, hey, I mean, it's pretty. If you read the book, the book that we referenced earlier, that Kyron's mom contributed to, they make it pretty clear that they believe this could go to trial without a body, no problem. That's what the whole book is about, is the story of Kyron, and it's intertwined with details about other no body cases and how they were successful and how this could be successful. But it's they're not going forward without it. And that's why I believe that that's one of the reasons that keeps me going, because I want to raise awareness that he's still missing. And if we're never going to find him, thanks to Terri and Dee Dee, well, at least there's justice served. And maybe one day they will end up saying what happened if they're presented with the actual consequences of their actions.
Yeah. Exactly. I want to address this too, because I would like to go a little bit further, because a lot of people, this Jim Kelly sighting has always bothered me. I always feel like there, in my opinion, something about this truck that was seen down 8th Avenue. So she says, sorry, I am nosy, and I would just go ask this person in the truck. That is just me. I am loud and I'm not scared. Well, Jim Kelly and his neighbor, they weren't scared either. The 3:30 or the 3 o'clock p.m., the day Kyron came up missing sighting, it was daylight. It wasn't whatever. They really thought nothing of it. They just thought, okay, this truck came down, must have got lost. Who knows what they're doing? The truck pulls away. 2 a.m. in the morning on late the 4th, early morning, 2 a.m. on the 5th. The thing with the 2 a.m. sighting, for one, you live out in the country. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. That 3 p.m. in the afternoon, let's just say maybe it was 2:45. Maybe it was 2:30. Maybe it was 3:10. Maybe it was 3:15. You get lost in the muck, you know what I mean, during the day. And 2 a.m. at night, you're laying in bed, or you're in your house if you're, someone that likes to stay up late. And that you see headlights or you hear a vehicle. It's late. You're going to look at the clock and you're going to go, what the hell is somebody doing out there at 2 a.m. in the morning? He gets up out of bed, puts his slippers on. He's going to check it out. Meanwhile, the neighbor woman down the road, she lets her dogs off their leashes to head down. And that's when the truck turned around and left, because she was like, screw this. Nobody needs to be down here 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm letting my dogs loose.
Yeah.
And then, they find out about Kyron Horman disappearing and everything else. So Jim Kelly makes sure to make the phone call, let law enforcement know, and they were down there searching that day. So 2 a.m., thinking sometime in the morning on the 5th is when he called, but they were down there searching 5th, 6th. And I'll also want to say a little bit later, because it was kind of in the 2-yard perimeter around the school that they were already searching anyway. And I actually believe that sighting is what grew that perimeter, because it was really local around the school. And then it just spread a little bit. And I really think it was because, there was a sighting of a truck with a woman in it. Yeah, very strange to see that truck down that road. Yeah, and when you live out in the middle of the woods, especially living in the Pacific Northwest, you better be prepared for somebody to walk out of their house with a shot GUN. No joke. Living out in the middle of nowhere, someone's coming down and they're going to be, what are you doing here? Like, that's why Fred Paul.
Yeah, the dog's being let off. That's the first step. I would have been out of there way soon.
Yeah. And yeah, if I'm in the middle of nowhere, pulled up somewhere, and I'm terrified of dogs. And that's why I've never done a video So I've driven down 8th Avenue. There's videos of 8th Avenue up if anybody wants to go see them. They're the Jim Kelly sightings here on our channel. You can go down and look at the area. You can look at Rocky Point Road. You can look at the Jim Hall, or not Jim Hall, Fred Hall, that we talked about. But I went down there and was taking videos, and I was going to get out of the car and actually go walk forward and see what else was out there. And dogs start barking. Nope, got back in the truck. My husband isn't scared of dogs, and he wouldn't even get out of the car. He's like, no, I'm not getting out in the middle of nowhere when I hear dogs. We don't know where those dogs are, where they're, can they jump the fence? Are they chained up?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of an attacked dog. That's for sure.
Just reading everybody's comments here. Yeah, I've watched every episode too, Heidi. Yes, Chris has helped so much in the Michael Vaughn case. I have actually loved seeing Brandy Neal up on his panel talk about Monkey, and just the videos that I saw him do when he went to go talk to Tyler, and basically went over how Tyler, Vaughn, Brandy Neal, and Papa that lives in the house in no way, shape, or form could have anything to do with Michael's disappearance at all. Brandy was at work. Her co-workers seen her. She was seen on camera. As soon as Monkey came up missing, Tyler's driving around and seen on CCTV cameras, looking and searching for Michael. Papa was gone, visiting with friends and getting a haircut. Everything was verified that these people couldn't have anything to do with it. The fact that there's people talking still about it, this is what happens in these child missing cases, unfortunately, because it is very random that a child is taken and that it is a stranger abduction. But in Michael Vaughn's case, that's exactly what it was. It was a stranger abduction. 4 people are suspects: Stacy Wandra, Sarah Wandra, Brandon Shurtleff, Adrian Lucian. And people still want to point fingers at parents. They want to point fingers at family members. And that's because there's always such that low chance that an abductor actually took a child. It's like a 4 to 6% chance. And usually when a child comes up missing, it's either a parent, a friend or either a parent or another family member or a friend of the families.
Right.
And then
exactly.
once you get out that realm is when you hit that realm of that 4 to 6% that it's actually a child abduction. That's why Desiree and Kane have been attacked and attacked and attacked. I mean, every single parent in any child missing case, if you follow any of them, you're going to see either a group of people coming together to support the person of interest or suspect, because there's always those people. Just like Casey Anthony even had her own little cheering section, and it's like, what the hell? She was guilty, and look, she was found not guilty. What the hell?
Yeah,
That's just
right.
crazy to me.
Yeah, that's just absolutely crazy. And yep, I agree. There's always going to be the people that do, for some reason, flock to defend the perpetrators of these horrible crimes. And one that got mentioned in the comments earlier is Shanann Watts and her absolutely monster husband, Chris Watts, who annihilated his family. Well, I'm shocked to say, but the amount of people that defend Chris Watts over what he did to his family almost leaves me with no faith in humanity. Yeah. Almost. But because of the I just have to remind myself that those people are just loud, and that's it. That doesn't mean there's a ton of them. They just like to make noise. That doesn't make what Chris Watts did right, and whatever they say doesn't mean it's right. But it gets me emotional. It gets me upset because they, like we've mentioned several times, the ultimate victim is are the people that paid their life were taken, but there are also victims that are rippled out from these crimes, and everybody's hurting. And like, I mean, Desiree and Kane, they have absolutely no evidence, zero evidence that has been released that they were involved in any way, shape, or form in Kyron's disappearance. Yet the people who
Rumor
support
upon
Terri,
rumor.
yeah, it's always the people who support the suspect. It's always those people that are hurling so much crap to avoid looking at the actual hard evidence against the person they're defending. I say it all the time. I don't know if that's willful or if that's denial and you're trying to protect, your brain is trying to protect you because that's just some effed up stuff. I don't know. But yeah. Sorry, going on a tangent there. That's one that
No,
bothers
you're
me a
fine.
lot.
No, because it all just goes down to the root of the problem here. And that is that people need to stop attacking these parents unless there's evidence to point at parents. Parents have missing children, they're gone. They do not deserve to be attacked. They don't deserve to be attacked by anyone for any reason. It is and should not be, it just should not be tolerated at all.
Mhm.
I hate seeing it in recent events. Brandy Neal got attacked and was compared to Summer Wells' parents, and I was livid. We talked about this. We were going to do a show about it. Everybody started doing shows about it, and I just gave my support in chats of other people doing it. It wasn't because we didn't want to do it. Brandy was just getting so much, you know, people were just
She
doing
was,
shows and
yeah.
sticking up for her anyway. And I would rather spend my time doing a show on Michael,
Yes,
honestly.
she knows that we support her wholeheartedly,
Mhm.
and we felt that we didn't necessarily need to also just add another video to defend her, because I've said this before, and I don't mean to be offensive in any way, but does Beyonce address her haters? And I mean offensive in a sense that I'm not trying to compare Brandy to Beyonce, but you get what I'm saying. Brandy has become a public figure as the parent of a missing child, and she shouldn't have to worry about addressing crap like that, because honestly it's beneath her, but I understand why. um that's how I feel about the whole thing, about people just constantly trying to attack your character. It gets exhausting. I definitely
Yeah,
get it.
we've been attacked, especially in our Kyron Horman group. We get attacked in the groups on Facebooks. They've attacked us on YouTube. We don't care about them.
Nope.
They're small time. But yeah, what you're saying, do not do it. Though, you'll have the evil people come after you. And that's kind of why we decided to do it. We are just now growing. We just became monetized. I gave my support to every single person that did a live on Brandy. I've either commented or was there, and that's how I showed my support. Brandy knows I support her. Everybody that watches our channel knows we support her and her family 100%. If she ever wanted to come on my show and, talk about anything, she knows she's more than welcome. Yeah, we felt as starting off small and everything to kind of just stay out of it as far, like we're voicing our opinion now. Yeah, we can voice our opinion on it, but to do a whole show about it was just not something we wanted to do, I guess is the best way to put it. Um,
Right.
but to answer your other question, Yaya, how am I feeling about Jen Soto? The same? I do not know. Um, you know, Madeline was said to be unalived earlier that morning. Now news has came out. I even sent the article or the affidavit over to Kaylee to read it, because I'm like, is this saying that Jen saw her as a seen Madeline getting dressed at 8 a.m. in the morning? Because I thought it was saying They did the affidavit at 8 o'clock in the morning, and Jen states that she saw her, getting dressed. Since then, I have been completely second guessing whether or not Jen may have something to do with it. Has she lawyered up? I do not know. Does law enforcement know anything? I do not know. I've had a lot going on, and I really haven't been able to research too much in the last few days. If you know anything, put it in chat for me. Has law enforcement said anything? Has she lawyered up?
No.
Those are the two things.
She
Because if
hasn't they haven't said anything about her yet, and she's not been arrested.
Okay.
I do believe I read that she did get a lawyer, but
Under the circumstances, maybe she needed to.
right.
Mhm.
But she hasn't been arrested or anything, and I don't know, I couldn't look to fact check this one way or the other, but I saw people saying when Maddie was like being laid to rest and they were having a funeral for her, that the mom wasn't invited. I don't know if I read that incorrectly, or that like the dad had his own and the mom wasn't invited. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, I know there was one that they there in the town where she came up missing. And I believe that was the mother and the family. Yeah, I haven't heard about the dads. The dad's actually staying very, very quiet. Very, very quiet.
This whole case is just crazy to me. I mean, yeah, I hope that if she is involved, that the police wouldn't just idly like let her go without being arrested. But I also understand that when it comes to this kind of case, it's all about strategy.
Mhm.
So it might be a
Oh,
strategy.
I think he was grooming her and had been grooming her for a long time. I also heard on Dolly Vision's YouTube and somebody else's YouTube channel that apartment was like a 3-bedroom apartment, and he had his own bedroom in that apartment. Mother and him were on and off, but at the time all of this was going on, they were split up. So why is he there and in a separate bedroom in the house? And then you find all this out, and that just even makes it even more creepy.
Very.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know
tragic.
what to think about Jen. My original feeling about her was that she didn't have any involvement or knew. I think that she may have been taken advantage of. I am still feeling that way until some kind of evidence comes out
Yeah.
that she's involved. I'm not going to point a finger at a mom that could be suffering and already feeling guilty and already upset with herself for not seeing anything. But you know what? Let's talk about that for just a second, okay? Because there are people saying, um, you know, how come nobody saw anything? She was sending her daughter to the doctor for anxiety, and she was sending her daughter to the doctor for ADHD. Or no, was it ADHD or was it autism? But her mom was sending her to the doctor because things were going on in her life. And she mentioned during one of the news reports that her daughter had high anxiety. That's probably why she left her phone behind that day. So if you think about it, all of these signs and symptoms like spacing off, having high anxiety, and everything else, that could all be from grooming and being SA'd.
Yeah.
And they're just getting diagnosis wrong. So saying that the mom wasn't trying to do anything, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that she wasn't trying to. I think she was seeing things in her daughter. I think maybe things were just being diagnosed. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
And yes, Beverly, Michael was abducted between 6:40 and 7 o'clock, according to Fruitland police detectives' new times. The exact time that Shirtless and Adrian in the space area. Stacy and Sarah Wandra and Brandon Shirtless were actually pulled over to the side of the road, according to Stacy Wander, if you want to believe anything that he says, around 6:30. I guess they're seen on camera there. or not seen on camera, but around 6:30, pulled over to the side of the road, putting power steering in the truck. And Stacy Wander talks about a child walking around that area, changes his story from the description, from where he was, what he was playing with, everything. Complete liar. But yeah, definitely in the area where Michael was abducted, the three of them. Yeah, I can't blame her for getting a lawyer either. I mean, everybody wants to call. Everybody's saying that she had something to do with it. If you heard that, why not lawyer up just to be safe?
Yeah,
You
I
don't want
don't think getting a lawyer is necessarily inherently guilty. It's getting a lawyer and then never speaking to police again.
Yeah, and according to documents, Madeline was being SA'd since she was like 11 years old.
Oh, that's so tragic.
And
I'm
they
so
were
sorry.
together. They were together for 6 or 7 years. So, it just time. Time is what a predator needs. Time to groom, time to gain trust, time, because that's, if you get into their minds, you have to think about what their intentions are. If you have followed the Madeline case, you know what his intentions were, what he wanted her to do with him. So, how much time does it take for a predator to groom to get an 11-year-old to do these kinds of things with a grown man? I mean, it's disgusting. And this kind of information isn't talked about enough. It's not talked about enough because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to people to talk about. It's uncomfortable for people to hear. My youngest daughter, she loves what I'm doing. Loves what I'm doing for children. But you know what? She don't want to hear it about it. She will literally puke. Get sick to her stomach, cannot handle it. If I get excited about something that I found out or whatever, she'll first ask me, Mom, what is it first? Is it going to be blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah? Am I going to be able to handle it? And I have to think about it. Is she going to be able to handle this information? If it's not, I don't share it with her. If it's something else, like today, I was excited to let her know that we were able to use this music for our new intro. And she was so excited. But yeah, talking about the children and stuff, she can't handle it. And
Yeah.
here's a girl who went to school to take care of the elderly, who has watched the elderly people, pass away, have Alzheimer's. She's gotten tattoos on her body of worn out brains in a jar to represent her Alzheimer's patients. And every time one of them's died, she's had a flower coming up from the vein, or the brain coming up out of the little flower jar that the brain's sitting in. And she can handle that kinds of stuff with the elderly. But yeah, she don't want nothing to do when it comes to being SA'd, children, being murdered or killed or nothing. She don't want nothing to do with it. She can't. And she's got babies. I can't blame her. I'm terrified for my grandchildren to grow up in this world. And when you hear Chris Madonna and Dr. Gary, talk about what the world's going to be coming to, give it 10 or 15 years, makes me even more terrified. A state in the United States was just talking about letting pedos have dolls, children-shaped dolls to use. Let's just not let that happen. Because if things like that happen, then we're just letting these predators win, in my opinion. They're winning. We're making up excuses for them now. I say make a great big huge prison and put them all in it and just leave them there to rot, honestly.
Yeah. I totally know. I relate to your daughter because I mean, even though we cover these cases and we talk about it all the time, I definitely feel like I internalize the anxiety and it comes out in ways that I don't realize until I think about it. Then I'm like, oh yeah, that's because I'm always researching horrible things or I'm always listening to horrible things. So yeah, but I agree with you also. I don't know what any politician is thinking by like you said, giving excuses and excusing that behavior as I don't know.
Yeah, because what are they going to do when they get bored with the dolls?
Yeah, things
Or
always escalate.
what if these childlike dolls that they want to hand out to these predators just excite them that much more, and then they want to act out even more?
Right.
That's what I'm feeling here, and it's just disgusting.
It's
So we got on a horrible subject, and I'm sorry. But
that's what happens when you are on the, we're just kind of going
yeah.
very casual tonight, and then we're going all over the place.
So more misinformation in the Kyron Horman case is the rumor of the man in the picture, the last picture taken of Kyron Horman. There's a man in the background, and that picture's been talked about so much. Who is that man in the background of the picture? Law enforcement looked into him. He was a parent there at the science fair, and he was cleared. We get asked about him a lot. We also get asked about the man that Terri Horman claims that on the 3rd of June was at a 7-Eleven with his pregnant, I don't know, girlfriend or wife or something that, was asking where the nearest school was. And I don't know full details of exactly about it, but I do know that that happened weeks and weeks and weeks before Kyron came up missing, according to the detective. Because it was mentioned, because it was all part of case studies that we've done, and I went over lots of case studies. The groundskeeper, David Stinson, has been rumored and talked about till, oh my God, for years and years and years and years. I actually did a really deep dive in David Stinson. It didn't really go anywhere, but the media interviewed him in August of 2010, so a couple of months after Kyron's disappearance. And because of the timing and everything else, it was just rumored that this groundskeeper that came to mow the lawn on June 4th, 2010, who had access to Access Road there in front of the school and everything, could have possibly taken Kyron and left with Kyron without being seen. David Stinson, and because of the reporter or media coverage, everything just turned into rumor really, really fast. He had other work to do that day. He was questioned earlier than the news made it sound like. And yeah, the rumors just spread and got carried away. And, he's not a person of interest or somebody that the police are interested in questioning or talking to anymore. There were rumors that he left, went to Mexico after Kyron's disappearance. He travels all over the world all the time. And I think it was just a coincidence that he traveled. Another suspect that's been talked about is David Durham. That's a new recent one. Well, not recent one. They've been talking about this, Terry supporters, for years and years also. But I did a very, very big deep dive and case study on him also. And he's not a person of interest. He's a man who unfortunately started taking some pain medications in the beginning of June, started acting erratically, started acting with some crazy behavior. And he ends up, he's wanted now. He's wanted by the FBI. He is what do you call it?
A fugitive.
A fugitive. Yes, thank you. For shooting a police officer down in Lincoln City because he's losing his mind. And in January of 2011, so just like 5 months after Kyron comes up missing, he packs up all of his survival gear. And he was in the service before. He was a volunteer firefighter. The guy was a great guy, according to everyone, but something happened. And his property was searched because it was in the first, search zone on Sauvie Island. So that's where some speculation came in that he may have had something to do with Kyron's disappearance because his property was in that original area. But I mean, I know from talking to people there on the island and stuff, there were many farms, all kinds of people's lands and farms and everything were searched out there. The pumpkin patches, everything was searched. So you can't just, oh, David Durham, is guilty of something because his property was searched. No, all the property around that area was searched. So anyway, he packs up all of his survival gear. I mean, survival gear to survive below 0 temperatures, and puts it in his truck, heads down to Lincoln City to go to the beach and go, all the way down to Waldport to visit family, ends up in Lincoln City, goes in. I don't know what he ends up doing in this gas station, comes back out, leaves, gets pulled over for speeding and just freaks out. He's freaked out by getting pulled over, shoots this officer, high speed chase down Highway 101 all the way to Waldport. Spike strips get thrown out into the road. He goes over the spike strips, throws his dog out of the window, pulls over to the side of the road, gets out of his truck, shoots a couple more times, hops over the railing on the Alcea Bay Bridge, and is never seen again. They searched that entire area for David Durham. Never found him. They went house to house. They searched the waters. Because he had family in Waldport, I honestly believe he was smart enough to know, don't go in Alcea Bay. The current, when the tide is coming and going, is insane there, and you're going to get pulled in or out, whichever, depending the tide. There's no way anybody, I feel, can survive that tide and how fast that current is. Some people believe that he drowned, in the water. Because he has family in Waldport, because of his survival skills, I think he took off and went up to the mountains above Waldport and is there. That's my personal opinion. I think he's alive somewhere
Well,
and just
I
hiding.
mean, the police and the FBI, I feel like they would have said he was presumed dead if
Yeah.
that's what they believed, because like you said, that would have been certain death almost for most people,
Yeah.
jumping into the freaking bay. And yeah, they've never said they suspected him of dying in that. They just say he's a fugitive, and I believe that they believe he could still be alive. I mean, they just they didn't up his reward or anything, but they rebroadcasted his face and stuff in the last 9 months to kind of put a new spotlight on him again.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You even mentioned, like, hey, Sam, I think that deep dive you did on YouTube, because I did this huge long video. I traveled all the way, down Highway 101. I stopped the different places where he stopped, where he started shooting, where he ended up. And then shortly after that, another article or something gets written about him.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I never see this guy ever. I see him all the time in Samantha's group while you're kind of covering him, and now I see him on the news. Like, that's just weird, and haven't seen him again since. Just that one time. Very weird timing.
Sympathy for the criminal. That is the problem with today's world. Yes. And I think it's because of popularity. I think people, this is something else that Chris McDonough and Dr. Gary and Josh were talking about on the lab. Social media. You wake up in the morning and you post, I ate eggs for breakfast. How many people care about that?
Right.
How many people think that, people in their minds, they're thinking, oh, I can post this because I'll be popular, or hey, I wonder how many people, will read this and whatever. And it's become like a popularity contest to get out there and do the total opposite of what everybody else is doing in these cases, and following the suspects, advocating for the suspects instead of actually advocating for families and children. And when is it going to stop?
It's so backwards.
I mean, Kaylee, you've been finding out that these Terry supporters, these Terry groups and group supporters have been going back and doing these, support groups and stuff for Terri Horman from the very, very, very beginning.
Yeah. Doing and lying on her behalf, starting rumors and all that. Now it's like a whole new beast. The Terry supporters now, they have absolutely no integrity. They
No.
they will defend each other at any cost, which they don't care if it means that their integrity also goes out the window for defending this super deceptive friend of theirs that also is lying on behalf of Terry. We are dealing with these new age people, like you said, Samantha. In my opinion, it's a contest. It's a popularity contest because why B, if Terry was so innocent and they had all this proof to prove her innocent, they wouldn't need to fall back on lies constantly.
Well, it's not even fall back on lies. It's let's make up lies.
Yes.
Let's we will put out disinformation. We will make up a lie and stick to it. That's what we'll do.
I
You
just
know why?
recently
Because nobody said it, and maybe it will get us popular. Maybe we'll get more members in our group. Maybe we'll get more followers and subscribers on our YouTube channel. Oh, and by the way, we have James, Kyron Horman's stepbrother, in our group.
we have
His
Terry
name
in our
might be
group.
there. Yeah, his name might be there, but he hasn't been active in that group in forever. He did a couple of videos with them, but he doesn't even talk good about his mom. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even call her mom or mother. He does not speak very highly of her at all. So yeah, go look at the videos. And then their other meal ticket is, oh, come to our group. We have Terri Horman here. Yeah, go over, go see what she says, because the only reason even anybody's even in there is either they want to be a Terry supporter because they believe that she's not guilty, or they're just over there to follow and see what she says, which is exactly why I have a fake profile over there, because I want to know what Terri Horman's saying. For 13 years, Kyron Horman's been gone. He's been missing. And she didn't speak for 13 years. She didn't even bother to search for her stepson. Not one time. Matter
Right.
of fact, she wouldn't even change her Facebook profile to the flyer like everybody else did in the beginning. Instead, she is on social media and trying to see what other people are saying about her, upset that people are even talking about her, and failing um her lie detector test just a few days after Kyron Horman came up missing, after she's already been caught in multiple lies and changing her story not once, but multiple times a day for days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks after Kyron came up missing. And when she went down to California and got a new boyfriend, and he found out that her stepson came up missing, she had talked about him when he ends up finding out about Kyron. But in the beginning, she didn't even say, yeah, that's my stepson. He came up missing in 2010. Like, why wouldn't you just say that? Why would you hide that? You know?
I totally agree. And somebody made a comment just recently that said something about if I were wrongly accused, especially if it were my stepchild that I claim to love so much, I would be very eager to find the person who did it. And if we ever figured out, they added to this comment. But anyway, they say, if I were them, if I were wrongly accused, I would become like an investigator in my own case. I would not give up until the truth was revealed, and then I would write a book about it. Yes, that's what I would probably do too. Yet Terry chooses to live under a cloud of suspicion for the rest of her life, abandoned her daughter to do so. Yet she'll tell everybody that there's exonerating evidence that clears her name.
And she'll even sit in this group and watch these people put out all of this misinformation and lies and everything else and won't even correct the information. Why
Yep.
wouldn't you correct it if you had nothing to hide? She wants all of this stuff out there because she just hopes and prays that all of this stuff that they come up with, maybe it will save her in the end. Well, let me tell you, I've done case studies on everybody that they talk about, and it ain't going to lead anywhere good. It's not going to lead to her not being guilty because the circumstantial evidence and evidence points at Terry and Dee Dee, period, and
Mhm.
possibly one other person. So deflect, 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 and try as hard as you can to run, but it's not gonna save you in the long run. A matter of fact, all she's doing is digging her hole even deeper the more that she talks. It's just very strange and unusual that you would wait 13 years to start talking too. And then, well, she waited 12. She's been talking this whole entire year. And
Yeah.
like St. Lily says here, they even do gift card giveaways and
Yeah.
for following and liking and subscribing. They even do fundraisers in Kyron's name without the parents' permission.
That goes to their pockets,
Yes.
and they don't disclose that either. They
Right.
just want you to share it with all your friends and family so they can get money in Kyron's name, and then not disclose that it's not going to Kyron's family or the Kyron Horman Foundation or anything. All of it doesn't make sense. It's frustrating. That's why we do what we do for Kyron. We will never, ever stop setting the record straight. Now that we know, we're never going to stop.
Yep.
So
Never.
thank you all for being here with us and helping us spread the message, because without all of you guys helping us, it would feel a lot harder. But honestly, it feels like we're making a difference because we have seen a slowdown on certain misinformation. Now it seems to have shifted because now they're going to these, now that we've debunked all their claims, now they're going to their unnamed sources. And trust me, I'm telling the truth. Yet they're totally not honest people. So I just like to say one thing. Well, I know we're kind of backtracking a little bit about what they said and how they used Terri as their meal ticket to get all these people to join their Facebook group. Well, I recently saw one of them lying the other day saying, come join our group. We have teachers, we have the lawyers, we have all these people that were involved in Kyron's case. And I was like, no, you do not. That is such a lie. And you're just misleading people to make you guys seem more credible. And I'm never going to let people forget about the 10 fake profiles that the admins have to talk to each other to make her seem like she's different people that believe what she's saying when it's all
Fake
herself.
profiles upon fake profiles upon fake profiles.
Yep.
And one fake profile will post, and the other fake profiles will comment, and they'll have fake conversations with their fake profiles.
Yep.
And post everything anonymously and copy and paste everything without ever adding a link to something to actually be able to go and verify the information for yourself. And when it is copy and pasted, only the part that fits their agenda is copied and pasted because they don't want you to read the entire article because the rest of it probably doesn't fit the narrative.
So, yeah, if you guys find yourself questioning any information you're reading about Kyron Horman's case, please come to Kyron Horman Case Revisited on Facebook. Post your questions. Samantha and we also have some awesome other experts in our group that are very dedicated and great researchers that will come and help you find the truth and get the facts, find proof one way or the other. And that's what we're all about. So
Yeah,
if you're
and
not
it's a
part of our
public.
Facebook group,
You don't even have to join the group. You can still post. It's a public group. You don't have to come in. You know, come in, post, ask your questions, leave. You don't have to come in and join. We're not here for the popularity contest. We're here to clear up the misinformation, and we've already done a lot of it. Yeah, come over, check it out, and just if you ever have a question. That's one of the reasons why having this was just really important Q&A because there is so many layers. Hello, Susie is in the house. This is our other admin here. Tim Blanche is her husband's YouTube. Also, she has done is defend herself. She's done nothing to actually help find Kyron. Yeah, she just wants to deflect. Terri Horman does her best deflecting, running from the truth, trying to convince other people that, believe my narrative, believe with me, believe what I say. If you do that, then of course you're going to believe that she's not guilty. Even from the very beginning, when she said that the janitor of the school was involved, he was actually looked into for quite a bit because he was kind of like a creepy guy. He was writing songs about boys and stuff. It was actually kind of really weird. Law enforcement looked at him and he was cleared. One of the other janitors that they talk about in his group was the principal's brother that didn't even start working there until after Kyron came up missing. So it was a case study that I started, but I actually had somebody from the school say, hey, by the way, just wanted to let you know that guy didn't even work there until after Kyron came up missing. Stop that case study immediately, because I'm able to go, okay, I was wrong about that. Okay, and that's what we like to do. Like, I want to do these case studies, or, I want to look up information and find out what's right and what's wrong. I mean, through doing all of these case studies and everything, it really just brought you know, I don't know, a different feeling of, okay, we really have been looking at Terri for a long time. Why not look other places? But I just found that they didn't lead anywhere. And then after talking to the investigator, I'm, pretty much told this, we're headed forward and the direction they've always been headed. So
Yeah. This direction that Kyron's parents have always said that it's been going. Though, I mean, Terri may not have ever been named a suspect, but why has she never testified to the grand jury? That must mean she's the suspect.
And James, the stepbrother, he wants everybody to believe that they're searching overseas for Kyron, and they're not. They are not looking overseas for Kyron. They went there one time, because of something that I cannot talk about, but I can tell you they went over there one time. It wasn't what they thought. And yeah, that's it. And, I don't know. It's really hard for me to talk about certain things because I'm not allowed to talk to them because I am talking with law enforcement. But they are not looking overseas. This is a local investigation unless evidence or a tip come forward to push them to go a different direction. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But James will have you believe, because he believes that Kyron got put into S trafficking, and there's no money trail. That's something else to talk about. There's no money trail. There is nothing leading these detectives to believe in any way, shape, or form that Kyron was put into S trafficking. And let me just say this. If you wanted to involve S trafficking, would they just go to the school and take one child? Wouldn't they take multiple children? And do they even go to schools? No.
Yeah.
When these S traffickers take children, they do it along different freeway corridors. They do it at, roadside rest stops off of the freeways. They do it at restaurants. They do it in Walmarts. They do it, and they have a pattern of doing things a certain way, and that's how they do it. They don't go to school, and they don't take children from school.
They don't take one single child from school. The same child that stepmother has all this evidence against her. There's just no way. And also, James's whole opinion about it being S trafficking is based on statistics. There is no evidence. And I mean, that's even from his own words.
Yeah. No evidence whatsoever pointing in that direction at all.
And when I say statistics, I mean that Portland has a high high rate of S trafficking. That is what it is. It's not even like, oh, the statistical probability of it even happening in a school or that anything else. It's just that, oh, it happens a lot in Portland. So that's what I believe happened to Kyron.
Yeah, but I-5 is the corridor where it happens from, and that's kind of far from where the school is, and kind of
Yeah,
out of the area and realm off of the freeway, and
yeah,
how far they would actually travel off of the freeway to SA, which just
exactly.
brings you into, you know, that is actually one of the things that I get asked more than anything. Do you think that he was S trafficked? No, I don't. I don't believe it at all. I'm not going to say that I didn't when I was doing other case studies because I was keeping it in mind because you have to have an open mind to any possibility. But once I started deep diving into Terri Horman and Dee Dee Spicer, and I found the rumors and were able to, with Kaylea's help, debunk those rumors. Um, no, I do not believe that anymore. In my opinion,
I don't
it
either.
it's just something that's talked about, but there's no evidence. There's nothing leading detectives to look that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe that was what happened either. I know we already said it once, but yeah, my opinion fully it's Terri Horman and Dee Dee Spicer did something to Kyron and made sure that he was never going to come back.
Yep. And yes, to answer your question, Terri Horman has never been named a suspect or a person of interest, but Oregon usually doesn't say that a person is a suspect or a person of interest until they're putting cuffs on that person. It's not something that is very it's not very popular in Oregon to call
Nope.
somebody a suspect or a person of interest, and they let unless they know for a fact that arrest is coming and is very intimate, like
Mm-hmm.
now gonna happen.
Yeah, it's a strategy that they use, and they don't have to unless, I mean, naming a person a suspect is helpful. Like they do that publicly to get the public's help and assistance. In this case, they didn't need our help with this. I mean, they may have asked, "Did you see the truck? Did you see them together?" But they knew where Terri was. They didn't like when they named Adrian Lucian and Brandon Shirtliff, they weren't sure exactly where they were at that time, or they were doing it to put pressure on them. It's all a strategy. They didn't have to do that. Even the Fruitland Police Department didn't have to, but they do everything they do for a reason because this investigations and how investigations are conducted, interrogations, all of that. There is a scientific aspect to it. So they have to do it the way that the best way that they think that would play out to get them a conviction.
Hmm. You know, and another rumor, another thing that's been talked about is Suspect Zero, is what he is called on Blink on Crime. This is this imaginary chaperone person that Terri herself created that and wasn't Suspect Zero created by Terri and also that
Yeah.
also stemmed from the fact that Tanner Pomwala, a young boy, also mentioned that the wait.
I know the suspect zero from the email. Terri wrote an email to a friend on June 5th saying that Kyron was seen with a male chaperone and two
Oh yeah,
students
that's right.
after Terri left. So Terri, in her own words, wrote that. Kyron was
Right.
seen with a male chaperone and two students after I left.
But
Years
has
go by.
never bothered ever to sit down with a profiler that can sketch and say this is what the man looked like. Never
Nope.
done it.
It wasn't important to her, apparently.
Nope.
And also, I would like to take a second to point out that Blink on Crime, who is friends with Terri, swears up and down that she read the teacher whose classroom this allegedly happened in. She said she read the deposition, which is the sworn testimony of the teacher taken under oath, that the teacher says, yes, I let Kyron leave with an unknown man. The only people that would have given that deposition to Blink on Crime was Terri or Terri's attorney. That's it. There's no other way Blink on Crime could have ever gotten her hands on this deposition. It's not public record. It's not part of the court record. So if I'm to believe Blink on Crime, I have to believe that Terri gave her this, and Terri also is aware of what that deposition says, right? Yet we have caught this in a lie, because in the depositions, we know, because there are some depositions that are part of the court record, the teacher's is not. The depositions that are court record, the judge completely did not allow any attorneys to ask, even if the person even spoke to police. They couldn't talk about if they talked to the grand jury. They couldn't talk about the case with Kyron Horman. Nothing. So how is that teacher going to go and just say exactly what happened to Kyron that day, when we know for sure in the depositions we can see that they were being told, nope, you can't ask that. Nope, can't ask that. That question's out of bounds. Yep. Right? So no. And my point of all of this is just proving that Terri was active. I mean, she wasn't super duper active in chat rooms and online at this time when this was being talked about, but she did an interview with Blink on Crime, and she was in those comments herself, and she did not stop it. She did not correct anything. She just lets the lie go and go and go. And now the Terri supporters want us to believe something different. Now I can't even keep up with the lies. But it's like, I'm going to say I don't understand, but it's hard because, I can't put myself in the shoes of a liar. I'm just not that person, apparently. But Terri's never corrected any lies that make her look better or take the heat off her. And that's awfully suspicious, if you ask me.
Yep, it is. She has been controlling the narrative since Kyron disappeared. She started throwing out stories and rumors immediately. Rumors like she was friends with Desiree Young, and that she went to work for Kane when Desiree was pregnant, and
taking care of Kyron as like a hired help.
Yeah, as hired help. Sorry, not while she was pregnant. But those rumors are not true at all. Both parents have came out and said that Desiree was far from being her friend. They never hired her to work and take care of Kyron. Those were rumors spread by Terri and Terri herself. Let's talk about this question. Let's see. Lahiley? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Terri said she needed the truck that morning to deliver the science fair project, but didn't. She dropped it off the day before because she thought the science fair was the day before. This confuses me. Okay, so the day before is when on June 3rd, 2010 is when the science fair project was dropped off. She did borrow Kane's truck the day before also to drop off the science fair project. She did not know that Kyron was going to be doing his presentation of his science fair project that day, she says. And that upset her. And she blames Miss Porter, Kyron's teacher, for that. She says on the 4th that she borrowed the truck to pick up Kyron's science fair project, when in actuality, the science fair projects weren't supposed to be picked up till the following week, and she never picked it up that day. So here she is, she's borrowing Kane's truck 2 days in a row. If you go over to Kyron Horman Case Revisited on our Facebook, you can see text messages when I was doing case studies. I put up text messages between James and his mom, Terri, where they talk about her doing recycling at Fred Meyer's on the 3rd. because I find it very suspicious that she had Kane's truck for 2 days in a row, the day before he came up missing and the day that he came up missing. Kaylia had my brain going a different direction because she's wondering if her original plan was to do something with Kyron on the 3rd.
Yeah, and I still teeter back and forth on that. It's totally just my personal speculation based on things that Terri has said. Part of that is because, like you just outlined, the truck situation and all that. Well, also on Dr. Phil, when she's asked about it, she says to Dr. Phil, we did the exact same thing the day before. So she had a doctor's appointment planned for Kitty on the 3rd.
Yes.
This is going to get kind of confusing, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to do my best to not confuse anybody, but there was a doctor's appointment for Kitty on the 3rd. She thought the science fair, allegedly, she thought was on the 3rd as well. She gets there on the 3rd, walks Kyron into the classroom, sees that it's not happening. She puts the thing to this corner, the science project to the corner, and then leaves. And she does the exact same thing on June 3rd as she did June 4th, which means she drove Kiara around because the earache. It didn't work, so she went to the gym. She says that in response to Dr. Phil questioning her about going to the gym. She says, I did the exact same thing the day before. That's how I know she went to the gym and drove around. Well, when I'm reading these comments from Blink on Crime is saying she's not accusing Mrs. Porter of being confused about Kyron's doctor's appointment. Blink on Crime is saying that Mrs. Porter is thinking that Terri took Kyron to Kitty's doctor's appointment. And
Correct.
she also gets questioned about this. She's getting asked about her from her fans more and more about this doctor's appointment. And Blink on Crime even says that Terri didn't tell Kane about the doctor's appointment for Kyron until June 5th or June 6th, which would have been the day after or 2 days after Kyron disappeared. I'm thinking in my head, if there's confusion over the doctor's appointment the very first day, how is Kane not finding out about the doctor's appointment until the 5th or the 6th, right? It's making me think, is Terri telling everybody? Is there some sort of confusion and Terri initially is saying something about taking Kyron to Kitty's doctor's appointment that was scheduled on the 3rd and it didn't work, so she had to change her plan and her story.
Right.
And that's why it all played out on June 4th. That's just me. That's totally 100% me reading these comments from Blink on Crime and Blink on Crime saying that she's taking Kyron, that the teacher thought she was taking Kyron to Kitty's appointment. And then remembering that, oh yeah, in the same email I referenced earlier in this live just a few minutes ago, that same email, Terri writes herself, the teacher thought I was taking Kyron to Kitty's doctor's appointment. I said I was going to look at other exhibits. How do you get that mixed up? So I'm thinking, did she originally try to plan this for the 3rd, but then something happened when she realized, oh, there's not even going to be a tour. There's not going to be all these people. So I got to ask Kane again. Okay, well, all right, Kane, can I borrow the truck again tomorrow? Because now it
makes sense. I mean, if you really think about it, it really does make sense. She gets there, she thinks that they're going to be a fair. There's not the fair that day. There's not going to be a bunch of people coming in and out and everything else. And then boom. You know what I mean? It really does make sense when you put it that way.
Yeah, and then you think about the fact, even the Dee Dee Spicer thing, it even adds a whole nother layer to that to me too, because 2 days before the garden tour, there might not have been vendors there. There might not have been people there that would have seen her abruptly leave the farm she was working on. But the day before the garden tour, that might have been the reason why people have actually witnessed her leave that day. And she felt so brazen that she could get away with it for 4 hours.
And just bringing up the doctor appointments, just an FYI for anybody that wants to know, Desiree says that there was never a doctor's appointment ever for Kyron.
Yep. And actually, it's funny because when I was doing the research for the live we did going over the comments from James, Terry's son.
Mhm.
I saw comments that were directed at James that were asking him to ask Terri, who is the doctor? If she says there's a doctor's appointment, ask her who the doctor is and ask her why she didn't want to make the doctor's appointment with your guys' regular family doctor. So it made me think that, I mean, I'm not involved in that conversation, but the line of questioning had me believe that at some point in time, it was talked about in these blogs or these online spaces or somewhere that Terri, like maybe Blink on Crime is the one who said this. I don't know. But somewhere it got said that, oh, the reason they couldn't verify the doctor's appointment is because it wasn't with her regular doctor and she couldn't remember who the doctor was or something stupid like that.
And you know what? As much as she lies about stuff anyway, you can totally see that. But according to Desiree, the night that Kyron went missing, Terry's talking about this doctor's appointment and everything else. They have Desiree sign paperwork to release privileged information from the doctor's office to confirm these doctor's appointments. And she is saying there was never a doctor's appointment. So yeah, unless it was somewhere else and she just never came forward and said what doctor it was or whatever, and law enforcement's just keeping it close to the vest. It literally has not been proved or verified that there was a doctor's appointment according to Desiree.
Right. Yeah, and you'd think if there was one, that'd be pretty easy for somebody to verify and prove their innocence. But I don't know.
Yeah, and then talking about the doctor's appointment, that just goes into a whole nother realm of rumor and speculation also, because there were things going around. Terri Horman's telling people he's walking in the room, he's spacing out, he's wetting the bed, he's doing this, he's doing that. All of the other parents and step parents. So Desiree and Tony Young said they didn't see anything. Kane said he didn't see Kyron acting out in any way. If anything, he was just tired because his sister had an earache and she was keeping people up in the house, because of her really bad earaches. But none of the people, she says many seizures and this and that. Matter of fact, she says so much, it's like, which one was it? And you can just tell that she's trying to come up with any scenario as long as she can get, because what her plan is say there are 200 people listening. Out of those 200 people, maybe 20 of them will believe the seizures. Maybe 5 of them will believe there was a doctor's appointment. Maybe 20 more over here will believe David Stenson. Maybe ones over here will believe in the suspect 0 and the chaperone guy with the 2 girls. And in that, out of 200 people, they're believing one or the other. But the thing is, if she can get
that
the
reasonable
numbers
doubt.
right, yes, she's got 200 people all following her, believing her, and maybe in that 5% of the people or 10% of the people are now just confused because they hear the truth and they're trying to figure out, is she lying? Is this the truth? I thought she was a suspect. And that's what's been going on, you guys, for 13 years. It doesn't matter what her story is. She just wants to get some believers to believe in something. It doesn't even matter what it is. And that's why you hear her throwing out multiple upon multiple. If you guys go and watch our video on Terri Horman controlling the narrative, we came up with so many different ways she's controlled the narrative. I'm talking like 50, you guys, and we have came up with so much more since then. Here Zane Lilly is talking about, Dee Dee and Terri both being on flyers, and Dee Dee Spicer was missing during the same unaccounted time as Terri Horman. Dee Dee Spicer's condo was searched. Dee Dee Spicer's aunt's house was searched because she's got ties to the area. And law enforcement also searched her work. And 2 women were seen on Old Germantown Road by her work, passing things from one truck to another. So they're not going to put out flyers. They're not going to do all these searches and everything unless there's proof of something going on. These women had cell phones, burner phones, that they use to communicate with each other, which is a huge red flag. So, yeah, I mean, law enforcement's just not going to waste their time. And something else too, and just saying that reminds me of something else that Chris McDonough was talking about and Josh was talking about, because they brought up this the way they talked about it was just wow to me, that two 17-year-old girls, they get together and they murder another girl and they put her body somewhere. And then later, one of the girls comes forward and decides to talk and says where this other girl's body was put. But law enforcement had looked, they'd searched and searched and searched. They could not find this girl anywhere. And when they found this girl, it was in an area right outside of the neighborhood, right off the road. And they went on to talk about how people that harm children or harm other people, murder, kill people, and what they would do, with their bodies when that happens. They really do like to stay in areas where they're comfortable, areas that are familiar to them. Dee Dee Spicer lived with her aunt in the area, 5 miles, not even 5 miles away from Kyron's school. Terri was living in that area with Kane for years. Here you have two women familiar with this area. It blew my mind to hear how they talked about this on their show, because I instantly was like, wait a minute. And I've even had people message me, did you know that Dee Dee lived in that area when she was younger? No, I had no idea. Her condo was in Tualatin. What? I know she worked in that area, but I didn't know how familiar Dee Dee Spicer actually was. She lived in that area.
Right.
That's really,
it's like her old
really,
stomping grounds. Yeah.
yeah. Do they know of a place where you could do something like that and get rid of a body and nobody ever know? How well did they really know the area? Teenagers, they know their area. They know their stomping ground. They know where they can go party and go hang out with their friends. I know one of the old train tunnels in the area down the road from the school was a popular place. It's got vandalism. I found a lot of drug paraphernalia while I was there. There was a lot of graffiti along the tunnel. You could really tell the teenagers like to go there and party. But yeah, it was very telling to me to hear that and then realize, oh shit, Dee Dee's, grew up in that area. She hung out there. Wow. So these two women knew this area and they knew it well. Let's see what else we got here. Or maybe she didn't want to look suspicious for the day. She actually did something with Kyron, making it normal to use Kane's truck. Yeah, and it wasn't a normal for her to use Kane's truck. She did use it to do the recycling that came about every now and then. She knew what day the science fair was. She lied about that too. That's coming from Susie, our other admin.
Yeah, I do believe so, because she has always been reported as she knew she was very strict. She was always looking over the papers to make sure that he was getting good reports on his behavior. And then if you look at the actual science project itself, she was certainly involved in that. So, and there was a talent show that day as well. So I agree. I mean, it's hard. That's why I've always say it's just my personal theory, but when you put it all together, it makes you go, yeah. But I do think she knew what day the actual fair was.
She volunteered up at the school. She knew that school. She knew that school didn't have cameras. She knew the teachers wouldn't question anything she was doing, and that's Desiree and Kane talk about that school was full of people that knew people. Everybody knows everybody, small community. And that's why no one could have taken Kyron, a stranger abduction, without someone knowing, seeing, or whatever. Just like Terri Horman couldn't leave there without being seen by witnesses.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Perfectly stated.
Yeah, I mean, and when the science fair and the things that she knew and everything. I mean, and volunteering up at the school, she was very obsessive with knowing the things that were going on in the school. She also liked to attack Miss Porter. Any chance she got, she would blame Miss Porter. She wanted everybody to believe that Miss Porter got it wrong. That Miss Porter, I told her this, but in all actuality, that's not what it was. Miss Porter was a great teacher. And she heard Terri correctly. She told her that there was a doctor's appointment. Why would Miss Porter have any reason to believe that? Terri supporters will, Terri supporters will have you believe this. This is one of their wildest conspiracy theories yet. All of the I'm not going to say all the teachers in the school, but a handful of teachers in the school, they will tell you had something to do with Kyron's abduction. They all decided that they were going to work with some politicians and work with some judges and follow this Terry Bean politician guy, and that they had all decided that they were going to take Kyron. These teachers were involved and they took Kyron.
Yeah.
And then they'll have you believe that these two teachers, that one's a music teacher and the other woman, his wife, took him out of the school. Come on, you guys. I mean, no and no and no.
I
First of
found
all,
the source of that, by the way, and I hope I never hear that ever again. Because I would bring that guy on. I don't want to give him a platform to spreading misinformation, but I found the source of who started that rumor, and trust me,
he is not okay upstairs.
he's not somebody that you can just take their word for it, okay? So, yeah, just trust me, and I've considered it. But we do have some more good questions coming in. Lily, she says, or I'm guessing, you can tell us if we're butchering your name, but did Dee Dee leave her car at the farm when she went missing? If so, then she was picked up. But I wonder what vehicle she used to take Kyron if Terri had Kane's truck. Yes, her car was left at the farm, and so was her cell phone. And she did say, in her own words, when she gave an interview in 2013 to this blogger, that she was working by the road. So she could have hopped a fence or went out one of the many gates on the property and been picked up.
She could have even left a car parked at this little gravel parking lot that's less than a quarter of a mile right outside where West Wind Farm is, on the corner of Germantown Road and Skyline Boulevard, where I actually watched a news reporting being done by the media and instantly saw where they were talking and knew that they were standing in that gravel parking lot and they were actually doing a search for Kyron in that area.
Yeah, so that's an important area, so it makes sense. And when you put it that way, I could see it. I don't know what vehicle she could have used, but there's a lot of speculation that she could have used her brother's truck, which is a very similar looking Ford truck. It's a slightly different make, or it's different model actually. I think maybe one's a F-250, one's a different.
They look really familiar.
They do look really very familiar.
Or similar, I mean.
Another question by Chuck here. I have a question. What was her actual motive? And nobody knows for certain, but I think that it was to hurt Kane. She had 3 murder for hires against Kane. And when those didn't work, there is rumors. I don't know, but there's rumors that Kane was having an affair and she was a vindictive person and she wanted to hurt Kane And second motive that gets tossed around a lot is she had her and Kane had a daughter that was younger than Kyron's half sister. And in Oregon, and when the custody case goes to court, the judge will keep the children together. So since Kane had Kyron and Terri didn't have another child, and if they were to divorce and divide households, James at this point was 15 or 16, the judge would have ruled to have the baby stay with Kane. And so just to squash that from even happening, she took care of Kyron to get out of the situation. This is just speculation and rumor that of a motive because no one really knows. And second of all, I mean, Desiree has said in an interview that they don't think Terri thought that this would become as big as it did. Terri never expected it to become Oregon's biggest criminal investigation and Oregon's biggest search and rescue operation. Terri never expected all of that. So that's where she went. That's where she messed up in her plan.
Yeah, and hearing Dr. Gary and Chris McDonough, I'm sorry, I have to keep referencing back to them because I'm actually going to get a hold of Josh and ask if I can use some clips from a show to talk more about Kyron, and because of some of the stuff they said actually fit Kyron's case so much. Like I'm just sitting there going, what? Oh my God. Chris McDonough and Dr. Gary, they're talking about the Summer Wells case, and they mentioned something to the effect of, where was I going to go with this? What were you just talking about, Kalia?
We were
I'm
talking
sorry.
about how Terri didn't expect this to get so big. It would be that's where she messed up. She did everything else, but she didn't expect it to get this big for the investigation.
Yes, and they were talking about how in the Summer Wells case, the parents, people are always saying like they weren't smart enough to come up with something like this. You know, you to get away with something like this in the Summer Wells case, you know, blah 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 blah. And I'm just sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, you guys know how many times I hear this in the Terri Horman case? Like, so what, Terri Horman, you know, was smart enough to pull this off with the Kyron Horman case. And that's when Josh mentioned those two 17-year-old girls that ended up, you know, getting rid of another girl's body that nobody ever found until they pointed it out. And they probably weren't going to be finding out about that girl's body for quite a while if they wouldn't have talked about it. But if two 17-year-old girls can pull it off on a whim, who's to say that some Joe Blow can't just get rid of somebody? If you think, especially in that area where Kyron came up missing, there is a rainforest behind a school. Forest Park is gigantic. Let me just look up how big Forest Park is, because I want to say it's like
tens of thousands of acres or something.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, you got this huge, vast area with tons and tons and tons of room where there's not a lot of houses. Especially
no, it's very rural. Actually, for my work, my day job, we do business out there, and I see it on a map, but then when you actually see it in person, it is different. And I live here. I mean, I live on the outskirts of Portland and a more rural. I mean, we've kind of grown, but my city used to be rural. And I spend a lot of summers camping where there's no facilities, you know, so I don't think I'm far. But when you actually see where Kyron grew up and where he was living, it's not the suburbs. It's not super densely populated. The houses have acreage, all of them. All of them have several acres of property.
Yeah, and it's mentioned right here, stretching more than 8 miles on hillsides overlooking the Willamette River. It is one of the country's largest urban forest reserves. The park is a major component of a regional system of parks and trails, cover more than 5,100 acres. And this is just Forest Park, you guys. Forest Park is behind Kyron School and to the east of Kyron School. This isn't even covering the woods that are on Dixie Mountain, Rocky Point, Moreland Road, and West Skyline Boulevard, all areas that have been searched. That's a whole nother hillside to the west. I mean, so you're talking a very, very, very wooded area, full, full of trees, firms. Matter of fact, Kaylee, if you could talk about something else, I'll go over here and pull up a video.
Okay. Yeah, I did see another question. We'll backtrack once you get that pulled up. But
okay,
the question I saw was about the students. Chuck, you said there was a student that seen them leaving together. Have you reached out to him as an adult now? I wonder what that student thinks. No, we have not reached out to the student or any of the students.
Before, though.
Yes, there have been other people that have said that they've reached out to him. And he did not. There's actual multiple students that saw him, but Chuck is asking about the student that saw them leaving together. So I don't know. I don't know if I haven't seen any screenshots of anybody reaching out to him. However, I believe that I have done a little bit of Facebook investigating on their profiles, and I can see that they share public posts that are Kyron Horman World Soldier posts, which is the advocate that works really closely with Desiree. And also Desiree included their information in the book. So both of those pieces of tidbits together, to me, make me believe that this witness and these witnesses are okay with this being out there. And, but no, I don't know what kind of relationship Desiree has with these witnesses, if she would ever even want them to speak or anything. We've never reached out to them to ask. But I honestly, while we're on the topic,
Carson talk to the grand jury though too, because if he did, he can't talk even as an adult. None of the people that went to talk before the grand jury or anybody that was at the school, parents, teachers, and children are not supposed to be talking about this case. Every now and then we do get a message from somebody. They may or may not be able to talk about it. They just want to help information, just like the person that contacted me that worked up at the school that said, hey, by the way, Joe Kiefer, the janitor, didn't work there till after Kyron came up missing. So I don't know. We've thought about reaching out to people. It's kind of just really hard to do. We also don't want anybody to get in trouble if they're not supposed to talk.
Yeah, it's definitely a very line that we will respect at the end of the day, because we respect Kyron's investigation. We don't want to compromise it in any way, shape, or form. But also, just as a personal opinion, I believe that those witnesses coming forward is the difference that it will take. And I know that it might not be necessarily okay, but it's not like they're going to go to jail. And I believe that the hearing from those people is the public pressure that I was talking about earlier. Those people are the people that will bring the awareness and the pressure and saying, I was there, I saw this with my own eyes, what the hell? And those kind of comments, I mean, I'm not sitting here one way or the other. I agree with you. It's so tricky, because we don't want anyone to get in trouble, but also it's been so long, and like that's the only thing that I can think of, unless they just decide to move forward. I mean, I can't see them coming into this huge piece of evidence all of a sudden, right? That's very slim chances.
Yeah, exactly. Zane Lilly talks about Miss Porter being the person. Terri claims that, Miss Porter was in charge of organizing the entire science fair. Yeah, that's just her attacking, Miss Porter, and she said she would have Miss Porter's job because Terri is jealous that she went to school to become a teacher and can't become a teacher because of her DUI. Her charge on, what was it, child endangerment. Could have had Miss Porter's job, but didn't get hired, according to another Kyron advocate that, we didn't know actually that she could have had Miss Porter's job. But they didn't hire her. They hired Miss Porter instead, and we believe that Terry's just really, really butthurt about that. I want to show you guys a video of the area, and then after that, we're probably going to get off. Kaylee is super tired. I'm super tired and wiped out. Like I told you guys before, a lot's going to be going on with me and my family for the next couple of weeks, so excuse me if we're not on a lot. Me and Kaylee are also working on getting our membership stuff put together, our loyalty badges, making, emojis and stuff to, have just like a really cute thing going for our super stickers and everything else now that we're monetized. Those kinds of things are going to take time. So we thought maybe we could work on that kind of stuff in the background while we can't really go live for the next couple of weeks. But you never know, because we are very spontaneous. So click the
don't
bell.
Be surprised. Yeah, don't be surprised if you see that little red logo. Click
the bell for any notifications, because we are so spur of the moment. Come over and join Kyron Horman Case Revisited, Michael Vaughn Case Revisited. Matter of fact, let's put up Michael Vaughn's banner here too for a little bit. That way everybody has that tip line information. But yeah, smash that like button for us, please. We would really appreciate that. We appreciate everybody here too. Hey, Criminal Med, see you here. Love seeing new faces here. I want to show you guys this area. I'm going to share my screen real quick. This is an old video I did. I turned off the sound. We're going to be in Forest Park in this video, and this is the Forest Park Trail that's off of Newberry Road. And at the end of this trail there on Newberry Road is where Terri was seen by a witness on June 4th, 2010. It's talked about in the book Boy Missing. The story, let's see, Boy Missing, The Search for Kyron Horman by Rebecca Morris. Let me know, Kaylee, if you can see this good. And this is the type of area that was just right off of the trail. Trees, ferns. I kind of just went off of the trail, not even like 5 feet, 10 feet. And then this is the trail. I mean, you saw how thick that was just right there off of the trail. You have, let's just go over. You have evergreen trees, ferns, sticker bushes, poison oak, poison ivy, all other different kinds of bushes and trees that can be out there. There are so many ravines also off of all these trails where things are hundreds and hundreds of feet down, either right off of the road or off of these trails that are all over Forest Park. And this is just one trail of hundreds of trails that are in this area.
That's what I was about to say. Imagine somebody that's purposely trying to find an area that has no trails. They're trying to find somewhere that nobody's going to go.
And Multnomah County Sheriff's Office is a search and rescue sheriff's office. That's what they do for a living. So when anybody comes up missing in the woods or in the water, Multnomah County Sheriff's Office for Multnomah County gets called to go out. But look at this area. Look how thick it is. We have somebody that's in our Kyron Horman group on Facebook, and she has done searches. She was in these searches, and she said that they used like a little handheld rake, little tiny one, like your garden little rake, handheld little, maybe a foot long little rake thing to look around, bending over and looking down at the ground, trying to find things. The bushes are thick. The trees are thick. The trails are small. You can see the ravine here, like off to the left. It goes down quite a ways. And it's like this in this entire area. There's just drop off, there's trails and everything. But yeah, this is just to give you guys a little bit of perspective of the area that you're looking at. And this isn't even the thickest parts that we've been in, that me and my husband have went and looked and searched. So
yeah, it's a beautiful area, but when you think about a missing child potentially being somewhere out there, it definitely is that like dreaded, ominous, heavy feeling of like, man, are we ever gonna find him?
honestly, if he's up there, the
One day.
likelihood of it, I hope and pray, because every time I go up there, I just get this sinking pit in my stomach feeling. I do not know how Desiree does it. I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they go up there and look for their son, because the feeling that I get, I'm just like, this is like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. It's just that I know that's how I feel. And so, yeah, I hope they do find him one day. And I mean, if Samantha and I are wrong, that's what we would really love about our opinions. But if he's no longer with us on this earth, I really hope that we can find him one day out wherever he is and that he's brought home to his family.
Yep. Is there a statute of limitations on grand jury witnesses being able to talk? Very good question, Chuck. And I do not have an answer for you, because I do not know that. And like I put in my description of this video, if anybody asks me a question that I feel like I can't answer, I'm going to research it. And this happens to be one of them, unless you know, Kaylia, because you know the court stuff better than I do.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I do want to know. So we'll be posting it, the answer in the morning.
Seeing you, would I think would have already talked about this if there would have been. And this is an amazing question, Chuck. Thank you so much for I love just like, oh wow, never even thought about that. So thank you. This is a good reason to have Q&As. I think we're going to start having them often, not just on Kyron, on Michael, but all children. We're going to start having some more open group discussions on just missing children in general, because I really want to start throwing out some statistics on missing children. I really believe it's important, Let's talk about Michael real quick. Michael Vaughn came up missing on July 27th, 2021. And if you have any information regarding Michael and his abduction, any information whatsoever about the suspects in the case, Stacy Wandra, Sarah Wandra, Brandon shirtless, Adrian Lucian, it's very, very important that you call the tip line, because guess what, you guys? Guess what I found out watching a live that Brandy Neal did with Brooks from Crime Lines and Lies? There was a recent article that came out that said that information got sent to the DA's office or the prosecutor's office again. And that being said, the information being sent there again wasn't because the information that the prosecutors got before wasn't good enough to move forward with indictments. The information that was given to the prosecutors was new information by tips that came in.
Awesome.
There were new tips, you guys. In Michael Vaughn's case, this information got sent to Fruitland Police Department. So, like we always say, no tip is too small. If you have anything at all and heard anything from any of these suspects talking about what happened when they abducted Michael, please, 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 please call the Fruitland Police Department. The telephone number is 208-642-6006. You can also email findmichael@fruitland.org. And don't forget, you can remain anonymous. You can remain anonymous. And then Kyron Horman, he disappeared June 4th, 2010. The last known person, law enforcement has said, the last known person to see Kyron Horman was Terri Horman. Terri Horman has been the focus by law enforcement since 2010. If you have any information about Kyron Horman's disappearance, if you have any information regarding anything you may have heard from Dee Dee Spicer, Terri Horman, or any people related to Dee Dee Spicer or Terri Horman, please, please, please call the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office tip line at 503-988-0560. You could have witnessed or saw, vehicles parked next to one another that look suspicious. And, if you're just like, I just don't know if that was June 4th or not, I'm not going to call. Maybe police officers can put something together. Maybe they have something on footage. You never know, because they did get footage from lots of local people in the area. They were able to get footage from, they got like your cams that are on intersections and stuff like that. So there was cameras involved, footage from the Fred Meyers, from the gym, and everything else. So just no tip is ever too small, you guys. So these are missing children. We're trying to get justice for them. So if you have any information, please come forward. Smash that like. We just want to tell everybody we love being here. We love talking with everyone. It's been really, really, really exciting to see more people coming in, more people chatting, and just overall, getting to know everybody. It's been fun, to get to know everybody. I'm starting to see lots of people in here, people that I speak with in chats, on other YouTube channels, and we appreciate everybody coming over here from other channels. We've been meeting a lot of people. Kaylia is amazing. She does some amazing research. She is so good at getting court documents and different, legal. When it comes to the legal stuff, Kaylee is getting it. Okay. So
Thank
we
you.
try our hardest to just, find information, find new information, debunk rumors, debunk, misinformation when we can. Try to verify stuff for yourself in all missing children's cases, in all cases that you follow. If you're a crime junkie, if you can't verify it for yourself, don't talk about it. Don't
Yes,
spread that rumor. If you know somebody's
100%.
spreading a rumor, say something. Say, you know what, this is rumor because the fact is da da da, and send your link out there for the world to know. And this is how I know, because that's why these parents of these missing children are getting attacked, because of rumors and misinformation being spread. So if we can put a stop to it, let's put a stop to it.
Yep,
Um,
I agree.
I
The world would be
appreciate
a better place without misinformation and missing child cases.
Yeah. I appreciate all the mods that come in that have been helping. I know we haven't had too many people in chat here recently, but hopefully that will change. And I'll give you guys some work to do. Again, come over and visit. We also have our page, Missing PNW Crimes Revisited, on Facebook. If you ever want to come over there, I'm always posting inside the community. We do these lives. We like to talk about the information after we do our lives. And sometimes we put that, majority of the time, we're going to put the information from our lives inside our groups. inside of our page or here in the community, so you guys can check that out anytime. Yeah, we're gonna play our new intro. It's going to be our outro tonight. And Becky, if you're listening, thank you again for
Yes, thank
letting
you so
us
much.
use your music to do our new intro. It would not be as amazing as it is without your song.
Mm-hmm.
I
Take care,
talked a
everybody.
lot. Good night, Kaylia. Always nice having you here, hun.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna put that up then. Good night, everybody. God bless.